but rather in makeshift detention centers set up after the failed coup, with images repeatedly showing large numbers of bound men sitting on the floor of a single room surrounded by guards. Lawyers have reported seeing detainees brought in to be interrogated by prosecutors already covered in blood, with reports that a number of detainees have been raped in custody as part of the increasingly violent effort to get people to talk. If you're fed up with the government running every aspect of your life, but you're not listening to the Lava Flow podcast yet, what's wrong with you? Go right now to thelavaflow.com/listen. The Lava Flow podcast, channeling the flow of information to the libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, voluntarist, and agorist community. Subscribe today using any podcatcher at thelavaflow.com/listen, or just go back to sucking up to the government. The Lava Flow podcast, striking the root every episode. UPI reports after running through all 57 voting states and territories, Senator Bernie Sanders stepped forward Tuesday to motion that Democrats set aside their delegate counts and move past a divisive primary campaign, nominating by acclamation Hillary Clinton as the party's candidate for the President of the United States. The DNC roll call vote Tuesday was unusual in its choreography, where normally the winning candidate seeks a strategic, symbolic, or personally meaningful delegation to put them over the top, and other delegations accede to the nominee's wishes. Clinton received the 2,382 votes needed, as determined simply by alphabetic order, when South Dakota's delegation took its turn. Vermont, Sanders' home state, allowed itself to be skipped in order to vote last. After all the delegates cast their votes, 2,838 for Clinton, 1,843 for Sanders, and 55 abstentions, Sanders motioned to the chair to set aside the delegate totals and enable Clinton to be named the party's nominee by acclamation, the parliamentary equivalent of unanimous consent. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports the U.S. Food and Drug Administration opened the door on Tuesday to a change in its blood donor deferral recommendations, which currently prohibit donations from gay men for a year following their last sexual encounter in order to reduce the risk of transmitting HIV, the virus that causes AIDS. In December, the FDA overturned a 30-year ban on all blood donations from men who have had sex with other men, saying the change was based on science showing an indefinite ban was not necessary to prevent the transmission of HIV. The FDA is now signaling it may go further. Gay rights advocates say the latest update did not go far enough and that the agency's recommendations should move closer to individual risk assessment, which could, for example, look at whether an individual has been in a monogamous relationship. Their criticism intensified in the wake of a mass shooting at a gay nightclub in Orlando, Florida in June, which saw many gay men unable to donate blood even as blood banks put out calls for donors. In a notice posted to the Federal Register, the FDA said it was enabling a public docket for comment about its current recommendations, and that interested people should submit comments backed by scientific evidence supporting alternative potential policies to reduce the risk of HIV transmission. Such suggestions could include the feasibility of moving from the existing one-time based deferrals related to risk behavior to alternative deferral options, such as the use of individual risk assessments. The agency said it would take the comments into account as it continues to reevaluate and update blood donor deferral policies as new scientific information becomes available. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Months after identifying the elusive Higgs boson particle, scientists at CERN in Geneva, Switzerland have announced that they've completely run out of things to do with their Large Hadron Collider.
We've tried some time travel stuff, but it doesn't really work. Black holes, but we already know like a ton about those. Last week, we threw a bird in there. Honestly, we thought it would take way longer to find the Higgs boson.
Director General of CERN, Rolf Dieter Hauer, told reporters that while they, quote, might be able to figure out some more about quarks or something, for the most part, his team has spent much of the past year throwing pennies into the machine and turning it on to see if the pennies come out smushed.
We might just start building a larger hadron collider. Yeah, maybe a bigger collider for smaller hadrons or something. I don't know.
CERN has announced on their website that if anyone out there has any fun ideas for experiments, you can email them to ideas@largehadroncollider.com.
This is the Onion News Network. Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, and you may join us right here. Give you our toll-free numbers and the Skype username. Joining you in studio tonight, you've got me, Ian,
Mark,
and Darryl.
Coming up, reasons not to vote. Darryl, you have a list. I don't know where they're from, but we will take a look at that because Mark and I tend to be folks who advocate voting, and I think you do as well, Darryl.
I do as well, but I just thought that it would be interesting to have three voters go over the list because while all three of us vote, we do so for, I think, slightly different reasons, and we have slightly different strategies. So I just think it would be good to get our thoughts on this list.
It is.
So I'm bringing it not because I agree with it, but because I think it would be interesting.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that. This is a big debate amongst a lot of people in the Liberty community, and it will be had time.
Just had it today on Facebook.
It will be had time and time again. So
having debates on Facebook is less than useless.
It seems pretty close when it comes down to trying to change people's opinions. I swear that, I present logical points. I point out that I'm going to present logical points here, and I would like to only have logical points returned. And, what do I see? I see fallacies, emotion, and goalpost moving the whole time. So what are you going to do?
But first, junk food, Darryl W. Perry. You've got the story that Mark and you both independently brought in together tonight.
Story comes from the New York Times. It says, at a time when almost 3/4 of the country is either overweight or obese, it comes as no surprise that junk foods are the largest source of calories in the American diet.
3/4?
Right.
That's incredible.
Can you run that statistics by me again?
3/4 of the country is either overweight or obese.
Wow.
And this is based on what a lot of people consider to be the flawed BMI, the body mass index.
Okay.
To where they say that somebody my height should weigh about 180 pounds.
I see.
What are you, like 6'3" or something?
About 6'1"-ish.
6'1", okay.
And that does not take into account whether somebody has a large amount of muscle. If you're, 2% body fat and you weigh 270 pounds, you are considered overweight. And if you're, over 30% above whatever your weight should be, you're considered obese. So
so maybe the statistics are a little wonky, but nonetheless.
The statistic, it's
nobody's
flawed.
Starving in the United States.
That much is true.
Correct. Yeah. But again, let me just go back here. 3/4 of the country is considered overweight or obese. So it comes as no surprise that junk foods are a large source of calories in the American diet, the largest source, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I believe that.
Topping the list are grain-based desserts like cookies, donuts, and granola bars. Yes, cookies. Granola bars are considered a dessert.
That's interesting that they would, put them on the list, but they are sweetened and they are grain-based.
That's according to the data from the federal government, which says that breads, sugary drinks, pizza, pasta, and dairy desserts like ice cream are among Americans' top 10 sources of calories. What else do these foods have in common? They are largely the product of 7 crops and farm foods. Would you guys like to take a guess of the 7 crops that...
Corn, wheat.
Yep.
Okay, now's the tough ones. Sugar cane.
That's not one of them.
Okay.
Yeah, sugar cane's kind of suppressed here.
Soybeans, wheat, rice, sorghum, milk, and meat.
Sorghum?
Yes.
How do you spell that?
Sorghum.
It's some more gum.
I've never heard of that before. What is it?
It's the stuff that it's used as some kind of additive in a lot of foods.
Okay.
It's like Ian never reads the ingredients on anything.
Those 7 crops are heavily subsidized by the federal government, ensuring that junk foods are cheap and plentiful. Between 1995 and 2010, the government, I'm guessing they mean here the U.S. federal government, doled out $170 billion, with a B, $170 billion in agricultural subsidies to finance the production of these foods, the latter two in part through subsidies on feed grains. While many of these foods are not inherently unhealthy, only a small percentage of them are eaten as is. Most are used as feed for livestock, turned into biofuels, or converted into cheap products and additives like corn sweeteners, industrial oils, processed meats, and refined carbohydrates. Health advocates have long pointed out that this seems like a contradiction. While the federal government recommends that people fill half their plate with fruits and vegetables to help prevent obesity, only a small fraction of its subsidies actually support the production of fresh produce.
How about we have no subsidies whatsoever? That's what I'd like.
I'm for that too, but and what makes no sense is if you go to the grocery store and you buy, say, I don't know, you pick your produce, a pound of grapes, and you look at the, say
$2.99.
$2.99. What's a pound of ground beef?
I don't know.
Wait, hold on.
$1.99.
Ground beef, couple bucks.
$1.99. So tell me how, in the world, an animal that takes significantly more land consumes significantly more calories than some grapes do.
There's a larger process to get it in the food.
The only amount of care the grapes need is some water and maybe some fertilizer.
Yeah.
Tell me how that pound of ground beef is worth less than a pound of grapes. And the answer is
subsidies.
Huge, gigantic government subsidies.
Well, and one thing that's interesting with meat, especially, the more processing that goes into it, the cheaper it is, which, most things you would think the complete opposite. So a steak is going to sell for $6, $7, $8 a pound.
Even more than that, yeah.
Depending on the cut.
Yep.
Whereas ground beef, where you're taking steak-like stuff, putting it through a grinder and doing some other stuff to it, involving a lot more manpower, sells a lot cheaper.
Well, with the steak, you're taking a cut of meat that is unmolested, right? Like it's just one cut of meat. With the ground beef, you're taking all the little extra stuff, mixing it with fat, and then putting it together. So that makes perfectly good sense. Spam or something like that comes out of a can, it's preserved, so it has
shelf life.
Shelf life, and you lose the spoilage factor.
Right. I'm just comparing ground beef to steak.
Okay, well, having made ground pork and pork chops, I understand why ground pork is less costly.
If you want to join us here, maybe you've got some food experience. Maybe you've run a grocery store and you want to weigh in, or you've worked at a grocery store, you work in food processing, and you're familiar with the subsidies. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And I did learn about sorghum here, so I can tell you more about that.
Okay. The article continues by saying the vast majority of agricultural subsidies go instead to commodity crops that are processed into many of the foods that are linked to obesity. A 2012 report from the U.S. Public Interest Research Group, a nonprofit consumer advocacy organization, concluded the subsidies damage our country's health and increase the medical costs that will ultimately need to be paid to treat the effects of the obesity epidemic.
So is this a...
Taxpayers are paying for the privilege of making our country sick.
Yeah.
Is this a big conspiracy to make people fat and sick?
No.
Or is it just some buddies, scratching their buddies' backs in the industry?
Yes. I see this as the unintended consequences of nepotism and favoritism.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also the whole thing of you've got lobbying groups like, the Dairy Association and the beef producers and all these other people that go to Washington and say, well, you got to give us this because blah 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 blah, and if you don't give us money, then nobody will have T-bones.
People will starve. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. You can join us here. Share your thoughts on food subsidies. I mean, as libertarians, our position is they need to go away. Let the market decide a price, not some bureaucrats and politicians trying to reward their friends and punish their enemies. And also, get rid of subsidies and get rid of tariffs. This is Free Talk Live.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Injury Help Desk is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisements. Services may not be available in all states. Attention prescription antibiotic drug users. Have you or a loved one suffered an aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, or abdominal aortic aneurysm after taking the prescription antibiotic drugs Levaquin or Avelox? These popular antibiotic drugs have been prescribed more than 80 million times since 2004, and medical studies show an increased risk of the following injuries: aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, and abdominal aortic aneurysm. If you or a loved one used the prescription antibiotic drugs Levaquin or Avelox and suffered from aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, or abdominal aortic aneurysm, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. You may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-823-3851. 800-823-3851. 800-823-3851.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can join us here toll-free at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well. You can Skype into the show here. Our username on Skype is lrn.fm. And I want to let you know about the Free Talk Live audio on-demand listen line. It is available to you 24 hours a day. You can listen to Free Talk Live, lrn.fm, and close to a dozen shows that are original LRN-based shows for the most part that you can tune in through our audio on-demand listen line. The phone number that you need to program into your phone is 641-793-9660. That's 641-793-9660. It's a great way to listen to Free Talk Live and some other LRN.FM shows without having to spend any of the data from your data plan. It just uses your minutes. And since most of you probably have unlimited minutes and free long distance, this will cost you nothing but the battery time on your cell phone that it would take to dial it. Or maybe you still have a landline you can call us there too.
Right. So, I have unlimited minutes on my phone as far as calls go, but not unlimited as far as my data goes.
Correct. Very few people do have that unlimited data. So anyway, put this in your phone, 641-793-9660. And there's a newer feature that we just launched about a week ago that allows you to leave us a message. So if you're listening to the show later on, you're not listening live, whether it's via podcast or on the radio in delayed broadcast, you can still respond, share your thoughts with us by leaving us a message at 641-793-9660. All you have to do to leave a message is press 2 to select Free Talk Live from the main menu, and then anytime you want, press 0 to leave us a message, and it will be delivered to us in our email boxes. Let's go to your phone calls and thoughts. We're talking about food subsidies and how it is that the federal government is just shuffling billions of taxpayer dollars into various different types of grains and other foods that are utilized in junk food.
From
basically.
1995 to 2010, the federal government doled out $170 billion in agricultural subsidies.
Yep, let's go to your phone calls. Jeff in Illinois, you're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Jeff.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
Sorghum is a sweetener. It's like molasses. It's something you might put on pancakes.
Yeah, I've got a whole story here about it from the Huffington Post called "What is Sorghum and Why is the South so obsessed with it?"
I was going to say it's a kind of an ethnic food that people down south might eat on their grits or something. They sweeten it. Like
Hold on. Whoa. You just offended everybody in the South by suggesting that they put anything on their grits other than butter and possibly bacon.
Salt.
Is that right? Okay.
You don't put salt on grits,
the
Yankee.
hell you don't. When you put salt on corn on the cob, it's the same stuff. Just because somebody puts your salt in your grits before you ate them, son, does not mean your grits weren't salted.
Ooh, the Southern throwdown in here, Jeff. Now look what you've done. I have no opinion
you
about
most certainly
grits.
do not put molasses or sugar.
I've seen people do it, but again,
those are called Yankees.
Yeah,
that don't
that's what I call them.
how you eat
waffles,
grits.
pancakes. How's that?
All right.
Okay.
Jeff, any other comments on the food subsidies?
Do you guys mind if I go to a different subject?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, great. Well, I saw a video of basically this public school, which is wrong to begin with. There's a black girl, and she's not killing anybody, she's not shooting anybody, she's not stabbing anybody, not hurting anybody.
That's good.
She won't do what the teacher says. So I just want to point out that she didn't hurt anyone. So they bring in a cop. He happens to be a white cop. He grabs her on the video and he throws her down on the floor. And I mean, it's just insane.
Now this is an old one, right? Or is this new? Because I've seen one that was like this maybe a year ago.
I'm not sure. It could be older.
He body slams her, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy because, she wasn't, like I say, she wasn't shooting anybody.
That's right.
They're using a hammer, to solve. It's not the hammer's job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was totally out of line in that particular video. I remember we talked about it.
I think he got let go too.
I would be surprised if he got let go for that, but it'd be interesting to follow up on that. Do you happen to have the name of the girl or the cop?
I don't have it in front of me.
Okay, because it would be interesting to
you could probably
double check
look it up on YouTube.
But it's so hard. I mean, I guess maybe body slams girl, cop body slams student, or something like that.
Don't worry, Darryl's already taken care of it.
Like that.
Might find it.
But it was all an absurdity, because, I mean, whatever the problem was, it could have been dealt with by good teaching and methods instead of calling people with guns and
absolutely. And unfortunately, more schools. Thank you, Jeff, for the call. More schools these days are using the police to do their disciplinary measures, and that's really sad because it leads to these roid-raging cops coming in there and being completely unnecessarily violent in that situation. You could have gotten the girl out of her seat with the assistance of there were multiple adults in the room, so you certainly could have grabbed a leg, grabbed an arm, grabbed a leg, and removed her from the seat that way. But no, he has to go ahead and slam her to the ground.
Right. Well, I mean, if you called in the special forces to deal with this gal, the chances are she'd end up sniped from a distance, right? I mean, you don't bring in a police officer to deal with, non-violent students in a school.
Well, you shouldn't, but they do.
They do. That's because they've created the school-to-prison pipeline.
Right.
And the intention appears to be, for all, it looks like what their intention is to send people directly from schools to prisons. And there's a remarkable number of people that are going from public school to prison.
Yeah, we've seen them arresting 5- and 6-year-olds.
Yeah, these things are happening. You can try to bury your head in the sand about it as much as you want. And this is another sort of argument against public school, I think, is that why don't you go through prison and ask the percentage of people there who went to some school other than a government school? And I would wager that the numbers are well
Less
into
than
the
1%.
90, like into the 90s, high 90 percentile. And causation isn't correlation by any stretch of the imagination.
I bet you'll also find a number of them were not only going to government schools, but were also under government care, meaning like in the foster care system, for instance.
I did meet quite a few people in the foster care that had been in foster care that were in prison, yes.
Let's go to Libertarian Banker calling from somewhere anonymous. You're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, guys. Tonight I want to just talk about the Federal Reserve.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know the Federal Reserve. It's kind of broken up into 12 different regions. It's almost like a cartel, kind of set up like state and city governments are. They say they're a nonprofit entity, but they're guaranteed a rate of 6% dividend on the stock. So, so if you're a bank and you're operating in a specific Fed zone, you're required to buy stock in the Federal Reserve. And then in return, you get a return on that. You get a dividend back for that stock up to 6%. So on their website, they say they're nonprofit, but in the same paragraph, they say that they earn 6% dividend on their money. So
they also say on their website that they exist to maintain inflation,
which is kind of funny. And
it's true, though.
The owners of the Fed are the member banks. There are some foreign banks. There are some, small local and regional banks. They elect the board of governors. But I think where the real problem lies,
Real problem? Stand by. We'll get to that here. Libertarian Banker is going to tell us the real problem with the Federal Reserve. And you can share your thoughts with us on whatever's on your mind, whether it's food subsidies, sweeteners, or the Fed. 855-450-FREE, or you can bring up anything that you want. 855-450-3733. It's Free Talk Live.
Attention backpackers on a budget. Why spend $80 to $300 to pump clean survival water? Introducing the Viba Water Pump Kit from Viba Outdoor Products. Super easy to use and super lightweight at only 6.5 ounces, the Viba Water Pump Kit provides high flow rate at 1 ounce per stroke, can be one-hand pumped, and is dependable and affordable at only $24.99. Filter not included. Get your Viba Water Pump Kit at viba-odp.com from Viba Outdoor Products.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
Do you know the difference between erudite and pedantic? If you do, you're probably pedantic. But seriously, a surprising number of erudite people mispronounce erudite, which has 3 syllables, not 4. Say erudite, not erudite. Because you are judged by how you speak, you want to avoid common misstatements, especially if you're a job seeker. For instance, do you know the difference between imply and infer? Only a speaker can imply, only a listener can infer. And when you say you'll be out of pocket, do you mean out of touch? Out of pocket means you're on your own dime, not yet reimbursed. And if anyone ever asks, why do you always answer a question with a question? You should reply, do I do that? Just kidding. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us here toll-free, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype. Our Skype username is LRN.FM. Food subsidies, billions upon billions of taxpayer dollars have headed over from your pocket into the pockets of the various different agricultural and meat producers and those sorts of folks in order to send you more junk food in the stores. We talked about that. There's probably a little bit more to that story.
Oh, there's definitely more.
We can share that, but you can also bring up anything you want. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. And if you've got Bitcoin, I want you to download the official wallet of Free Talk Live. It's called Jax, and you can get it at jaxx.io or your favorite Google or Apple app store, but it's available for more than just your smartphone. You can also get Jax for Windows, for Macintosh, and for Linux computers. Plus, there's a browser plug-in version of Jax for Chrome as well as Firefox. So it is a truly cross-platform Bitcoin wallet, and it also holds Ether and DAO tokens. Not that anyone wants the DAO tokens anymore. But rumor is that the folks over at Jax are going to be adding more cryptocurrencies to Jax, which I'm excited about because I think I might like to get some Dash, maybe. I'm kind of interested in the Dash currency. Anthony Diorio is the creator of Jax. He's a longtime Free Talk Live listener and supporter, as well as, you may remember, the crypto kit that we promoted here a little while back. He created that as well. Very, very handy tools that he comes out with. And it's super easy to use, easy to back up your wallet and recover your funds in case you lose your phone or something like that. It's not a problem with Jax. They're striving to give you command over your digital life, coins, contracts, currencies, identity, and more. Your digital command center in the palm of your hand. Jax, the official wallet of Free Talk Live, jaxx.io. We go back to the libertarian banker. He's on the line, was talking about the Federal Reserve, and you were going to share some more of your thoughts. So go ahead.
Sure. So the Federal Reserve has several main functions. One is the creation of currency, the inflation of the money supply. One is to be the lender of last resort to failing banks, and the third is to audit banks and make sure the health of the banks is up to snuff. But I think where the real problem
isn't it also the buyer of last resort of the federal Treasury bonds?
Sure. So they're the ones that loan money to the government. They create it out of thin air and loan it to the government.
Right.
And that's where I think the problem lies is as a libertarian, I subscribe to the non-aggression principle, and there's the Federal Reserve has aggression in many different areas. One is they require banks to be a member of it. They require banks to be audited by it. And if you as a bank wanted to opt out of the Federal Reserve System, you couldn't. The second is you could not create your own currency to compete with the Federal Reserve note. It would be illegal for you to do so.
You mean if you were a bank?
Exactly. If you were a bank or if you were any entity that wanted to create your own currency and start circulating it and use it as a legal means of exchange, obviously.
Well, I mean,
you're not
they did go after Bernard von Nothaus from the Liberty Dollar, but that was the federal government that came after him on alleged copyright or not copyright, but counterfeiting.
They called it counterfeiting, and there is that legal tender law, the pesky legal tender law. If we could get rid of that horrible thing that was instituted by the tyrant Lincoln, then I think the whole monopoly over the creation of currency thing would be moot, because then nobody would be required to accept Federal Reserve notes.
And also, the way that they're paid back, especially from the buying and selling of the government bonds, is through taxation, through the income tax. And when the government borrows money, it's not borrowing money from you and I. It's borrowing it from our children and our children's children.
Yeah, right.
So
you wish it was just that far. Like great-grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren. The federal government has never paid off the debt. Some people might argue that under Andrew Jackson they did, but that's the early 1800s.
Yeah, they claimed that it was paid off for like a week. And then there was almost instantly like $37,000 worth of debt.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for the call, Libertarian Banker. I appreciate it. Let's talk to Ian. He's calling from China. You're on Free Talk Live and on via Skype.
I tried you yesterday, but my connection fell apart.
Yeah, we can actually understand you today, so go for it.
Well, I guess my big
actually, maybe we can't. I think you've got a microphone technique issue because it seems very, very overblown. Maybe you're just talking too close to the mic.
Is this better?
A little bit.
All right. I'm talking with a handheld.
Okay.
You were talking about violence in the schools. I've lived in China now for nearly 20 years. And finally, by the way, I'm coming home. Yay! But student violence here is handled so completely different than you'd expect, especially as it is in America. In the U.S., we take some young steroidal officer who doesn't know how to diminish a situation. He simply aggravates it and makes it worse. Here, they send an older policeman, somebody in his 50s, to chat. If chat doesn't work, they mace him and drag him out.
It sounds pretty different. I definitely appreciate it. I would love to hear more from China, but it's really actually too hard to understand because of the constant. I don't know if you want to call it pee popping or whatever. He's definitely sounds like the air coming
static.
The air from his mouth is like really not good with that microphone. So maybe it needs to be repositioned, or you need to get a new microphone. Try something different. Normally Skype sounds really good, and it's always a bummer when it doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
So if you want to Skype the show here, thanks for the call, Ian. I appreciate it. If you want to Skype into the show, our Skype username is lrn.fm. Let's go to Ricky in Pennsylvania. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Ricky.
Good evening, Ian, Mark, Darryl.
What's on your mind, Ricky?
Well, I have 2 points, if I may.
You probably can't get through 2, so just pick one.
I can tonight.
Okay.
Well, the first one is, and I know Darryl's there and Mark and everybody. You see, the events that have happened and were happening that I referred to last night and before, I've made a decision. Kind of the fun was taken out of it for me, and I made a decision to bring a close to the challenge and then give my reasons why that I've decided not to go on after this with the pen live recordings, if I could.
What was the challenge?
Yeah, what's a pen live recording?
Oh, okay. Well, I'll tell you what the challenge was. Again, the challenge was it was a question to Greg. Call in, and it was what is the oldest civil rights organization. I made a point that the NAACP says it's the oldest, and that's 1909. And then the NRA says it's the oldest, which is 1871. And
although they did not actually get into any sort of civil rights sort of activities until the 1930s.
Right. They were just an organization.
Regardless. I mean, I'm looking at their actual.
All right. So Greg did not call in to respond to your challenge, so you are now withdrawing it.
No, I'm going to give the answer.
Okay.
And I'm going to say why I've decided to not continue on with the recording.
Just go ahead with the answer.
Okay,
What is the answer?
Okay, the answer I've given on many occasions would be the answer is it would be 1792. That would be 79 years older than the NRA. And the group, me as a Jeffersonian understands very well, would be the Anti-Federalist Party that was created to oppose the Constitution of the United States. That's very pertinent to where I come from. And that would be Jefferson's party, who was the third president of the United States in 1801.
I haven't heard a lot from the Anti-Federalists in, I don't know, a couple of centuries.
Well, if anybody, if anybody watched Virginia, the rally down in Virginia on the 14th of this month, a certain individual that's running for president right now is running as an anti-federalist under the old party platform of the Democratic Republicans.
I don't think it counts if the organization is effectively defunct today to say that they are, the longest running.
It never ended. It never was defunct.
Thanks, Ricky, for the call tonight.
Can't you just say that that the Christians are the oldest running civil rights organization because they were for, some human rights in the past?
Weren't the Jews around before the Christians?
I don't know. Just
855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can join us here, and you can bring up what you want. This is Free Talk Live.
If you're considering going back to school, ask yourself the following questions. Do you need the flexibility to take classes on your schedule? Do you have college credits you need transferred? Do you want to earn a quality degree from a world-renowned university? If you answered yes to any of these questions, Arizona State University is the perfect school for you. Arizona State University offers over 100 highly ranked degree programs 100% online. You'll earn the same degree as you would on campus, from wherever you are, on your schedule. Plus, ASU Online accepts most transfer credits. For information, call 1-800-958-5345. Learn for yourself why the Wall Street Journal ranks ASU 5th in the nation for producing the best qualified graduates, and why 90% of ASU grads are recruited within 90 days of graduation. Learn to grow, learn to succeed, and learn to thrive at Arizona State University. To learn more about ASU online degrees, call 1-800-958-5345. That's 1-800-958-5345.
Are you one of the millions of Americans who suffer from digestive issues like heartburn, acid reflux, IBS, and constipation? Probimune is your answer. Probimune is a brand new probiotic that has been scientifically proven to deliver high quantities of viable good bacteria to your gut to boost your digestive system and improve your overall health. This unique, powerful blend of probiotic strains, coupled with our industry-leading proprietary fermentation process, delivers a maximized bacterial colonization to the gut that no other probiotic can match. Start improving your health today. Visit younghealth.com or call 800-396-9024. Use coupon code DIGEST to receive 15% off first-time orders. Maintaining digestive health is crucial to the body's overall well-being. Don't suffer from negative effects of poor digestion any longer. Order today. younghealth.com or call 800-396-9024.
Free Talk Live.
Our education system is frankly government-run, government-funded, and we're dumbed down.
You could go down the laundry list of the different things that people would admit that the government did wrong or botched up or cost way too much, and it still doesn't have any effect on them. They still just bounce right back and say, well, we need government to do all these things. Well, yes, they make some mistakes. Yes, they spend billions of dollars too much. Sure, they kill innocent people around the world, but we need them.
We have to have them do these things.
I find it quite amazing that, they say the first thing they seem to do is, turn to government. They've got the solution somehow.
Yeah.
Goodness knows they
That's
haven't.
what they've been programmed to do by the government schools.
Exactly. Brainwashed, absolutely brainwashed, and they're so dumb about it, they believe it's the case. However, you then ask the next question, if you dare to, is you say, would you trust any politicians? And the first answer is no way.
Right.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu. 641-793-9660.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Wednesday, gold is $7 higher at $1,328 per ounce. Silver is 38 cents higher at $20.07 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $653 US. Buying gold and silver is one way to protect yourself from having government spending consume the value of your savings. For more information, give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up what you want. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well. Skype username is LRN.FM. We've been talking about the food subsidies that are tremendous, billions upon billions of dollars going to a variety of food producers that in many cases leads to more junk food being produced. The New York Times article, Darryl, that you brought in tonight is shining a little bit of light on this particular story.
Right, and specifically the subsidies are largely going to 7 crops and farm foods: corn, soybeans, wheat, rice, sorghum, milk, and meat. There was recently a group of researchers that examined the relationship between metabolic disease and the consumption of federally subsidized food. The study, led by a team at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, published this month in the Journal of the American Medical Association's Internal Medicine, looked at over 10,000 adults and the foods they reported eating in a typical day.
I've never heard of metabolic disease. Is that just being fat?
I don't know. I would have to Google that, but then that would take me off of the article that I'm reading. The researchers split the subjects into groups according to the proportion of foods they ate that were derived from the 7 major subsidized commodities. After adjusting for age, sex, socioeconomic factors, and other variables, the researchers found that those who had the highest consumption of federally subsidized foods had a 37% greater risk of being obese. They were also significantly more likely to have belly fat, abnormal cholesterol, and high levels of blood sugar and CRP, a marker of inflammation. While the study does not prove cause and effect,
that's true,
the authors say that there is a strong association, and it's consistent with other research showing that diets that are high in subsidized food tend to be poorer quality and more harmful to health. Ed Gregg, the chief of the Epidemiology and Statistics branch of the CDC's Division of Diabetes Translation, says this tells us that the factors that influence the prices of our foods are an additional factor. We're hoping that this information reaches policymakers and the people who influence how subsidies work.
I'm sure they're just going to get right on that and cut off all of these agricultural giants from their subsidies.
Yeah, well, if I had to, figure out the chicken or the egg on this one, I think likely what people would eat these things, right? They want to eat meat, they want to eat wheat, they want to eat corn, they want to eat sorghum, and they want to eat all the things in this list. So they're eating those things. And then, whatever, there's a bad year for meat or sorghum or whatever, and then the Sorghum Farmers Association of America comes to the federal government and says, hey, we're an important part of Americans' diets. Take a look at these statistics. Well, if you want that important part to remain, then you'll need to subsidize us in order for us to be able to meet whatever the needs are, blah, blah, blah. And we need more farmers to plant this or that.
If you were important, you wouldn't need subsidies.
Agreed. Look, I'm only saying chicken and the egg thing here. So likely the reason that they have the position, I don't think that farmers got together and said, what are the worst things that we could grow for people? I know. Dairy, yep, and carbs, yeah, and fatty meats. Let's do that. I don't think they did that.
No, of course not.
I think people wanted to buy those things, and then they became an important part of the diet.
A lot of farmers have seen, there's really high subsidies for this crop. I'm going to start growing that one.
That's true. Yeah.
Now, that's a two-edged sword, though. Ask any dairy farmer. They set they set the price of milk in many cases.
Yes.
They've got a cartel that does such a thing. So that can be difficult for you if you choose to play that particular game.
Right, but corn is one of those things, and you see this a lot with the ethanol subsidies, to where once the Fed started giving out ethanol subsidies, you saw an influx in corn production.
Sure.
And then you saw more and more companies start using high fructose corn syrup instead of cane sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And
wasn't there a tax on sugar or something like that?
There's a tariff on sugar, right. And that's one of those things that's
driven corn syrup. Adoption.
Right, the corn syrup producers, they love
the other
that
side
tariff.
Of this. So that's the other side of this, is that not only are there subsidized products in the United States, but there are also tariffs on the competing products from outside of the United States. So it really is just an awful protectionist system.
The article here continues. The subsidies program was started decades ago, in part to support struggling farmers and to secure America's food supply. Since 1995, the federal government has provided farmers with nearly $300 billion in agricultural subsidies overall, $170 billion going to those 7 foods that we mentioned earlier.
So is this worse than the federal government paying farmers to just not grow anything? Is it worse that they're actually paying farmers to grow things that would be considered unhealthy for us? I think it might be. Like, this is it. The government steps in with the goal of making life better for people. Because I can just hear the politicians back in the 60s saying, dear God, what about these poor people in Appalachia? They're starving to death. If we just had some subsidies, they'd be able to put meat on the table every other day or something, for God's sake. And now the program, because nothing's eternal like a federal government program's eternal, that's in place, and it's not going anywhere, and Americans are, we're supersized. 75% of Americans are considered obese, according to this article.
Overweight or obese was what Darryl had said.
Yes.
So what is sorghum? I've got some information about that here from Huffington Post. Unless you were raised in the South, technically all 3 of us were raised in the South. I've never seen sorghum, and Darryl, you were raised in the real South in Alabama, and you didn't seem too familiar with it either.
I know I've seen it as like an ingredient in something,
but you've never actually seen a bottle of sorghum.
Not that I can recall.
He's from a town, though. I mean, he's from
Birmingham.
I'm from a city, not a town.
A couple of generations ago, sorghum was a staple sweetener in the South. It was cheap, plentiful, and often went by the name of sorghum molasses. The thick golden syrup was used in place of pricier sweeteners, and those that have grown up on it are partial, with an almost nostalgic attachment to the flavor. Edward Lee, a Southern chef and cookbook author, said to the Associated Press that this sweetener has a, quote, unique flavor, and it adds a lot of depth to what you're cooking, more so than honey. And Sean Brock, the James Beard award-winning chef, says in his new cookbook, Heritage, that the flavors of sorghum remind him of home, where every fall the community would get together and harvest the tall plant and boil down the sorghum syrup. Sorghum's a cereal grain that grows tall like corn and is used for a lot more than just sweetening. First and foremost, in the United States, sorghum is used as a livestock feed and turned into ethanol. It's a popular crop to grow within the drier regions of the states because it's drought resistant, and this quality have also made it a popular crop in Africa, where it's been growing for 4,000 years.
Now, let's not forget that many of the subsidies here are essentially meat subsidies because they are meat food
grain
subsidies.
Yeah.
So when they talk about a corn subsidy, a lot of people are thinking about the corn on the cob they get from the grocery store. But the vast majority of corn that's grown in the United States is grown for the consumption of animals. It is not nearly as good as the corn you're eating from the grocery store.
Right, and most animals were they're not supposed to eat corn. Like cows. If a cow were to live in the wild, it would eat grass and weeds. It would not walk over to a corn stalk and gnaw on the corn.
Sure, what they do with corn for feed for cows, and it's not just corn, but certainly they do use corn, the intention is to fatten up the cow so that you get that nice marbleized beef that the American public has grown so fond of.
Right, even though the cow doesn't necessarily digest the corn properly.
It's digesting it properly. It's just getting obese.
No, have you ever seen cow poo? There are pieces of corn.
Well, come on.
In the cow poo.
Well,
it's not being digested properly.
That's the nature of corn, okay? And yes, I've seen a lot of cow poo. I grew up in Manatee County, Florida, on 10 acres
nothing to
with
me.
Lots and lots of cows.
And manatees are a sea cow.
Yeah, there's no manatee. Really, not that many manatees in Manatee County.
There's that one in the Bishop Planetarium.
Yep, I hear Snooty's getting old.
Well, I'm pretty sure they've replaced Snooty a few times, haven't they?
Hold on, is Snooty kind of like Shamu to where the name continues, but there's a new one?
I'm pretty sure. I can't imagine it's the same Snooty for all these years.
How long do sea cows live?
A few decades, I think. But
you're just taking a stab in the dark because you're from Florida. You're some kind of manatee expert.
I feel like they've changed out Snooty.
Shut up!
I am pretty sure they changed out Snooty at some point, at least one time during my lifetime. 855, 450 free, but I could be wrong. This is Free Talk Live, Hour 2 coming up.
The root cause of most of society's ills is neither malice nor negligence, but a mere superstition, an unquestioned assumption which has been accepted on faith by nearly everyone of all ages, races, religions, education, and income levels. The Most Dangerous Superstition by Larkin Rose exposes the myth for what it is, showing how nearly everyone, as a result of one particular unquestioned assumption, is directly contributing to violence and oppression without even realizing it. Find The Most Dangerous Superstition on Amazon and larkinrose.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Tipping. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin tip returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card Bitcoin tip that's easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets and spending, and returns to the tipper if unused. Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com. The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, July 27th, 2016. Silver is trading at $19.70 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,324 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $657. Antiwar.com reports following previous reports that they have credible evidence of Turkey torturing post-coup detainees. Amnesty International is doubling down on their concern, calling for an immediate halt to all mistreatment of what is now in excess of 10,000 people arrested over the coup attempt. The imposition of a state of emergency across Turkey has added to the concern, as it allows President Erdogan to extend the detention without charges period from 4 days to 30 days. This is greatly increasing the risk of those detainees being tortured. Turkish prisons have a spotty human rights record in the first place, and since the coup, a lot of the detainees aren't even being held in formal prisons, but rather in makeshift detention centers set up after the failed coup, with images repeatedly showing large numbers of bound men sitting on the floor of a single room surrounded by guards. Lawyers have reported seeing detainees brought in to be interrogated by prosecutors already covered in blood, with reports that a number of detainees have been raped in custody as part of the increasingly violent effort to get people to talk. If you're fed up with the government running every aspect of your life, but you're not listening to the Lava Flow podcast yet, what's wrong with you? Go right now to thelavaflow.com/listen. The Lava Flow podcast, channeling the flow of information to the libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, voluntarist, and agorist community. Subscribe today using any podcatcher at thelavaflow.com/listen, or just go back to sucking up to the government. The Lava Flow podcast, striking the root every episode. UPI reports after running through all 57 voting states and territories, Senator Bernie Sanders stepped forward Tuesday to motion that Democrats set aside their delegate counts and move past a divisive primary campaign, nominating by acclamation Hillary Clinton as the party's candidate for the President of the United States. The DNC roll call vote Tuesday was unusual in its choreography, where normally the winning candidate seeks a strategic, symbolic, or personally meaningful delegation to put them over the top, and other delegations accede to the nominee's wishes. Clinton received the 2,382 votes needed, as determined simply by alphabetic order, when South Dakota's delegation took its turn. Vermont, Sanders' home state, allowed itself to be skipped in order to vote last. After all the delegates cast their votes, 2,838 for Clinton, 1,843 for Sanders, and 55 abstentions, Sanders motioned to the chair to set aside the delegate totals and enable Clinton to be named the party's nominee by acclamation, the parliamentary equivalent of unanimous consent. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports the U.S. Food and Drug Administration opened the door on Tuesday to a change in its blood donor deferral recommendations, which currently prohibit donations from gay men for a year following their last sexual encounter in order to reduce the risk of transmitting HIV, the virus that causes AIDS. In December, the FDA overturned a 30-year ban on all blood donations from men who have had sex with other men, saying the change was based on science showing an indefinite ban was not necessary to prevent the transmission of HIV. The FDA is now signaling it may go further. Gay rights advocates say the latest update did not go far enough, and that the agency's recommendations should move closer to individual risk assessment, which could, for example, look at whether an individual has been in a monogamous relationship. Their criticism intensified in the wake of a mass shooting at a gay nightclub in Orlando, Florida in June, which saw many gay men unable to donate blood even as blood banks put out calls for donors. In a notice posted to the Federal Register, the FDA said it was enabling a public docket for comment about its current recommendations, and that interested people should submit comments backed by scientific evidence supporting alternative potential policies to reduce the risk of HIV transmission. Such suggestions could include the feasibility of moving from the existing one-time based deferrals related to risk behavior to alternative deferral options, such as the use of individual risk assessments. The agency said it would take the comments into account as it continues to reevaluate and update blood donor deferral policies as new scientific information becomes available. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
I always dreamed of providing the nation with concise recaps of the week's events. One fateful summer in 1934, legendary onion mogul T. Herman Zwiebel was passing through our town to acquire an oil derrick when he overheard me calling in the oxen in my breathy baritone and offered me the opportunity of a lifetime. Yes, from the turbulent war times of the 1940s.
The Onion welcomes the majestic Axis armies as conquering heroes.
To the free-spirited 60s. And remember, there's nothing more cosmic than keeping your house insulated with Thermoflake brand asbestos. I can truly say I've been here for the turning of the ages. But now, viewers, my beautiful 19-year-old wife and I will take our much-deserved retirement to my Genevan chateau. I wish all of my detractors empty, destitute lives. And for my allies, I hope for all the pleasures availed by heaven. So, finally, let me say one last time, for more, keep checking theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can join us. We're kicking off the second hour of the program. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Okay, so correction. I was totally wrong about Snooty. Snooty is apparently still alive. There's a story here.
That's what they want you to believe.
Well, that was one of the old...
Snooty doesn't even exist. It's a mirage, well, a hologram.
No, you can touch him, can't you? No, they let you touch him?
That's virtual reality, sir. They just want you to think that you're touching Snooty. There's no such thing as a manatee.
No.
It's all part of the conspiracy of the flat earthers and something.
I've fed that animal with the fetid breath, cabbage and lettuce. I can assure you it is alive and stinking.
Yep, they've got him in a little pool over
alive and stinking.
What is that place called, Mark, where they have
Florida,
the Bishop Planetarium.
Yeah, I know it's but it's not actually in the Bishop Planetarium. There's some museum that's attached to the Bishop Planetarium.
Southwest Florida Museum.
Okay, that could be it. Anyway, story from OrlandoSentinel.com. Don't believe everything you read on the internet, especially if it's about the world's oldest living manatee dying. A death hoax about then 66-year-old Snooty. This was written in October of 2014. Circulated on Facebook earlier this week, but luckily Snooty is still alive and swimming, according to the Bradenton Herald. Officials at the South Florida Museum in Bradenton, where
we used to call that the mullet wrapper.
The museum?
No, the Bradenton Herald.
Oh, okay.
Genius.
Where Snooty calls home, told the Herald they've been receiving calls asking about the sea cow's health, and they were happy to report he's doing just fine. As you may have guessed, Manatee County residents were distraught when they heard the news of the death of the city's mascot. When the South Florida Museum addressed the rumor on its Facebook page, dozens of people commented to let out a virtual sigh of relief.
I'm convinced that since this thing is the mascot of the city, it will never die. It's going to be like Shamu, to where they'll just keep replacing it, and somebody will be like, "Didn't Snooty used to, be a little different?" And everything. Oh well, those things get old.
Didn't he get cut up by some boat a long time ago? And that's
I think he's got some scars.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay, so
what are you supposed to do as a boater? There's some sort of rule about
go slower.
Don't molest the manatees.
No wakes.
No wakes.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Well, manatees live for a long time, especially if you keep them in a pool where they, aren't going to get run over by boats and those sorts of things.
Yep. Most things live longer when they don't get run over by boats.
Yep. Yeah. So, for instance, squirrels, you can expect them to live on average 2 years. If you keep
they don't get run over by boats, they get run over by cars.
If you keep one in a cage, on the other hand, it's going to live for 20. So a natural lifespan is a difficult thing to sort of ascertain for an animal.
I almost ran over a squirrel on my bicycle a couple of days ago.
That could be a pretty good trick.
All right,
I didn't intend to. The little guy was in the sidewalk and got confused and ran back and forth in front of me before darting out of the way.
Yeah. You think he was confused. He might have just been trying to trip you.
So let's go to your phone calls and thoughts. Bruce in California, listening to K-Talks. You're on Free Talk Live. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, guys. Several years ago, I'm commenting on the subsidies. Several years ago, I remember reading or hearing that about, we're not just talking about little mom and pop farmers. We're talking mega agri investors, and I think Bob Dole is involved in that. But I mean, there's a lot of senators and big people that own big farms, and they they're the ones getting all that money.
Surprise, surprise.
As I understand it, if you get a large tract of land, the first thing you want to do is get some kind of farming going on it, simply for the huge tax benefits that you get. I don't know. As a pig farmer, I am not familiar with these tax benefits, but nonetheless, that's
call up Ted Turner.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He gets millions every year because he owns some farmland in Montana.
Sweet.
Okay, well, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, guys, I enjoy your show.
Thanks, Bruce. Appreciate you being out there. Thanks.
Okay.
Great point tonight. Toll-free numbers 855-450-FREE. Apparently, looking at the Snooty the Manatee thing where there was a hoax saying he passed away. Apparently, it fooled Fox 13 Tampa Bay.
Oh, boy.
So you had major news outlets in Tampa.
Are you trying to make yourself feel better for claiming that manatees lived 20 years? Is that what you're...
No, I said dozens of years.
Well,
yeah, that's what I said. Dozens.
That's a nice dodge. From 24 to, well, how many is dozens? When does it stop?
Can be many, many
144 years?
That could be. That would be dozens. That's right.
100 dozen.
Right,
possibly.
100 dozen. Manatees lived to be 1,200 years old.
It's like the whole thing of, I have done this a number of times. Well, that number could be 0 because 0 technically is a number.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
He is cute, though, Snooty. He's kind of adorable. Let's go to Dave. He's in New York. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Dave.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Hey, Dave. It's been a long time since you've called the show. What's on your mind tonight?
Graced us with your presence.
I would like to address an issue.
I'd rather have Dave on than Ricky. I got to tell you, any day.
Yeah.
I'll take Dave.
Okay.
More coherent.
Yep. Dave can
go
put
ahead,
a sentence
Dave.
together.
Okay. When you put in my name in a Google search engine, Dave Grady from Poughkeepsie, New York, the message board comes up. I would like to have the message board taken down, please.
You want the message board taken down? You mean the Free Talk Live's BBS?
Yes, because when you put in my name and Dave Grady, Poughkeepsie, New York, the whole BBS thing comes up, and there's some stuff on there that is false accusations. I would like to have the board taken down, please.
We're not going to remove a portion of our website.
Well, wait a minute. Let's talk a little bit about what Dave's talking about here for our listeners that are new to the show. For many years, for like more than a decade, Free Talk Live had a fairly active, in the beginning, forum until Facebook came along and basically destroyed forums.
Killed it like it killed most forums.
So we ran it for several years after Facebook, and it just never really came back. So eventually we retired this BBS. We call it the BBS, but it's a forum. We retired it.
My favorite part was the rubber room for trolls.
Yeah, and in the retirement process, basically we decided to keep the BBS online, keep all of the posts online, but make it so nobody could sign up and post. So at this point, the BBS is still there. All of the posts that are so popular are still there, like the Excellent Breasts thread, which is a huge thing where if you actually Google excellent breasts, or at least it was this way in the past.
It is hurting my chances of getting a job, guys. It is hurting my chances of getting a job. And when you put it, funny. When you put in my name, Dave Grady, Poughkeepsie, New York, if the board comes up, and all I'm asking is to have the board taken down.
Dave, there's also a YouTube video. There's Craigslist stuff that comes up.
What you're referring to, Dave, just to be clear, is a thread where you go toe-to-toe with some of the board members and trolls. So it's basically the BBS became a troll zone where it was just trolls versus trolls constantly. And so
that would be a good video game.
Troll Zone?
Trolls versus Trolls. There was Spy versus Spy.
Yep.
So Trolls versus Trolls.
Spy versus Spy was an okay game. It was better comedy.
All I want is the board taken down.
All I want is the board taken down. That's ridiculous. Why not ask for the whole freetalklive.com to come down?
He wants his thread to come
Why
down.
shouldn't the internet just go away because some shift manager at Subway might, see your name online?
Have you ever heard of the Streisand effect?
Yeah, no doubt. People are visiting the board right now.
Guys, this is no laughing matter. I just want that board taken down because, there are false accusations
What
on
he's
there.
talking about is the thread. He wants the thread about him to be
just one thread.
That's what he means. You don't want to see the whole thing shut down. You just want to see the part
Dave
about
Grady
you.
Appreciation Thread is the title of it.
Hey, Dave, instead of calling and making demands, why don't you offer $100 an hour for IT work, and I'm sure somebody would be happy.
Because somebody's got to go in there and actually log in to this BBS that has been offline, basically, as far as there aren't logins allowed. So we have to set it up to where an administrator can go in there and delete the thread. But that presumes that you aren't guilty for that thread's existence. And Dave, you're part of that thread. That thread is all about you because you fed into that thread.
I just want the thread taken down.
You fought for I don't know how many days. I don't know how many pages that damn thing is. Are you on it right now, Darryl?
I'm on it. It's only 3 pages.
Only 3 pages? Okay, there's probably some other threads about Dave on the forum because there are people who've been... Well, hang on, Dave. Let's talk about this a little bit further because this does bring up a larger question. Actually, Rob Mathias from the Rebel Love Show was asked to take down a cop block video that he made recently because somebody who was in it decided they didn't want the video to be online. So should those requests be honored? And I think there's some opinions about this. 855-450-FREE.
All right, listen up, because this is the most important thing you're going to hear all day. What if I said you could make money flipping houses without any cash, credit, or manual labor? And what if I said you could do it part-time from the comfort of your home? Sound unflippin' believable? Hi, I'm Preston Neely, and I'm going to prove it by sending you a free copy of my smash hit selling book, How to Get Rich in Real Estate. It sells online for $19.95, but I'm giving away free copies this week. To get one before they're gone, call 1-800-960-4295. I used to be so broke. I had my electricity shut off 9 times, but I figured out a simple way to make money flipping houses without even breaking a sweat. Now I'm living the good life, and so should you. Listen, if you're sick and tired of stressing about money, this book could change your life. Hands down, it's the fastest, easiest way to get started in real estate. Let me prove it. Call right now to find out how to get your free book. When they're gone, they're gone. Call 1-800-960-4295. 1-800-960-4295.
My computer is so slow, it's making me crazy.
I used to have that problem.
Did you quit using a computer, or did you buy a new one?
No, I called Geeks On Site. They made an appointment to visit my home and showed up the same day.
You mean they didn't ask you to bring your computer to a shop? That's what happened when I called a support company.
Geeks On Site can go to your home or business or even repair your computer online. They have 24/7 emergency service.
If you are having problems with your PC or Mac, call Geeks On Site, 1-800-591-1682. Our friendly certified computer repair experts are available 24/7. Call now for a free diagnosis, 1-800-591-1682. Data recovery, virus removal, and maintenance for all laptops, desktops, printers, and networks. That's Geeks On Site for friendly certified computer repair experts, available 24/7 over the phone or in your home or business. Just call 1-800-591-1682. That's 1-800-591-1682, 1-800-591-1682.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial toll-free to join us here. Bring up what you want. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. When should you, if you're a web content creator, when should you honor a request for a takedown? The content we're talking about in this case was brought up by Dave, who called in tonight to demand, as he has demanded in a few different emails that he has sent me over the last, let's see, a couple of years, I think. Let's see if I can pull him up.
He's badgered me online about it, too.
And I would say, Ian, and you asked the question of, as a web content creator, when should you honor a request? I don't think you can give an actual answer to this. There is no black and white. It's a bunch of shades of gray.
I will say, however, that if you want content taken down, that an effective means is not typing in caps and calling people names.
Yes, I would agree with that.
And demanding. Don't demand.
Right. And I guess it feels like it's been longer than it has that he has been demanding this. He did demand it on May 27th in an email entitled, "Please delete BBS thread as I am trying to get a job." And then he links to the thread, the Dave Grady appreciation thread, and then further in all caps, "And this thread doesn't make me look good. Thank you." I guess he did say please and thank you in the thread. He is Dave, calling from New York. Dave, you're back on Free Talk Live. Now, what has actually happened when you've tried to get a job? Has there been someone who has told you, no, we can't give you this job because some people wrote some bad things about you on the internet?
I had a job for a couple of like a week and a half. I'm not going to say what it was or anything about it, but all I want is just that certain portion of the board.
No, we know what you want, but you didn't answer my question. So we know you don't like that thread about you, and apparently, Darryl, you've been looking through it. It doesn't actually have any posts from Dave in it.
This particular thread does not. They do link over to his OkCupid profile.
Oh, no.
And I can't stop laughing.
Okay, well, now it would only be fair if you actually shared the OkCupid profile on our Facebook page so other people can see
That's
it.
not nice.
Sure it is. It sounds really funny, so we want to share the laughs with everybody. That is a nice thing to do. So, Dave, so what you didn't answer, though, was there any kind of indication that this thread in particular had harmed your chances of keeping that job or getting another job?
Yes.
How so? Please describe.
Because when you Google my name, that's when you Google Dave Grady Cupid, New York, you know that the BBS comes up with that thread.
No, that's not an indicator.
When I Google, when I Google, that will come up. You're right. However, I'm not going to give you a job. So my question is the guy is the shift manager at Dunkin' Donuts? Are they doing that? And they're saying, sorry, you don't meet our standards. I mean, exactly what's occurring?
It's just hurting my chances of getting a job because when you
is that a perception?
It's when you fill out an application and you give it to a prospective employer or whatever, and when you go for an interview or whatever, and they make all these decisions, they put in your name into a search engine and they see what comes up. We don't want this person. We'll take somebody else who has We'll take somebody else who's a total stranger.
Now, have you also contacted Craigslist to take down your posts or the posts about you from Hudson Valley Rants and Raves?
All you have to do is just flag them, and they go away.
So, Dave, let's give our listeners a little bit of history. You called the show for the first time, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago or something like that. It's been a little while now.
It's been a while.
And you were a regular caller, frequently calling about things that make you angry. And one of the things the first thing that I think you ever called about was how angry you were about the way you've been treated on the internet. And so we gave you some advice, not knowing who you were and not knowing anything about your past and what you've done on the internet to deserve the treatment that you've received. We gave you some advice of, hey, if you're getting a bad response in certain forums, then you shouldn't go to those forums and you should go to a place where you're going to have a more positive experience. But then, as it turned out, it really ended up being that you created the experience for yourself because you tend to be fairly rude towards other people on forums. You stirred it up on the Free Talk Live BBS, and it was that was one of the reasons why the Dave Grady Appreciation Thread was created, I believe, because there were you continue to come onto the forum under different names. And the administrators had to keep banning you for whatever reason. I forget. I didn't pay close attention because there was so much going on at that time that I didn't have the ability to do that. But for whatever reason, the administrators decided they wanted to ban you from the forum, and you disrespected that by continuing to come back to the forum. You were known prior to the Free Talk Live BBS, like on the Craigslist and the other Hudson Valley local forums there, to be a troll, to be somebody who was just up there to stir it up and to cause trouble and to argue with people and to call people names. Do you deny doing those things?
All I want is guys.
I do miss Dave and all his repetitions.
So, Dave, let me ask you this.
It's been too long,
Don't
Dave.
you think there's an obligation that Free Talk Live has to leave that thread up so that people get a fair warning of what it's like to deal with Dave Grady online? No. So you think you should just be able to trounce about online, going and disturbing things in people's forums, and then have that stuff taken down so that you can go do it someplace else?
Guys, please, I'm just asking it nicely, just to have that thread deleted, taken down.
Hold on, I've got an idea because we are doing a fundraiser to try to expand the satellite.
Yep.
How about we put this up for an auction to where people can, whoever makes the largest donation gets to decide whether this thread stays or goes.
Oh, that's an interesting idea. Dave, you have some money you could donate because you could be our number one donor. We've only had a dozen or 13 donations so far, so a few $100, several $100 would take it, Dave. Maybe like $500. I think our highest donation so far has been $300.
I'm unemployed. I'm looking for a job.
Hey,
aren't you on welfare?
The what?
Aren't you on welfare?
No.
No? Okay.
I'm looking at your Cupid profile here. Are you really only 5'1"?
No, I'm like almost 6 feet.
Did you just type this in wrong?
Why would you put in that you were 5'1" if you're almost 6 feet? That's
it's
misrepresenting.
a really bad idea.
Yeah, that's misrepresenting yourself, Dave.
I'm almost as tall as a door. When you open a door, it's like a door.
Almost as tall as a door. What?
Now, Dave, for those
you
that
know
don't
how to use a tape measure, right?
For those,
this isn't difficult. Most people can answer the question, "How tall am I?" If you give me centimeters, I can figure it out.
But just the point being, guys, I'm asking nicely, guys, because
I appreciate that. I do appreciate that, Dave. But you haven't been very nice over your entire life, and that's what has created the Dave Grady Appreciation Thread. There are people in that thread who've been following you around the internet for years because you go onto internet forums and cause trouble, and so you have created this group of, I wouldn't call them groupies because they don't like you, but they're followers, basically, and they will go to wherever they can find you on the internet and make your life difficult. But you've created this for yourself, Dave. And so we're going to get some other people's opinions on this here. Thank you, Dave, for the call tonight. If anybody wants to weigh in on whether or not Free Talk Live should remove Dave's thread, should we go ahead with Darryl's idea of the highest bidder on the satellite fundraiser gets to decide? If you want to weigh in, toll-free number is 855-450-FREE.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today. Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty and peace around the globe worth 15 cents per day to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. Last year, we did a fundraiser that successfully covered the costs of continuing our African channel. This year, we're hoping to raise enough to fund a new satellite signal that will cover Europe, North Africa, and much of the Middle East. You can donate as much or as little as you like via the Indiegogo campaign at fund.lrn.fm. And there are perks available like sitting in on your favorite LRN.FM show, exclusive shiny badges, or even naming a satellite channel. Please contribute now at fund.lrn.fm and help us continue our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. The fundraiser ends August 19th, so please visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. That's fund.lrn.fm.
There's no better app for tracking the value of cryptocurrencies than CoinCap. I've had a lot of apps for tracking Bitcoin, but none that's ever been able to track 500 digital assets at once. Their best feature is the Altfolio. I love this thing. You enter how many Bitcoins, Ether, Dash, Doge, or whatever else you have, and it tells you how much your crypto is worth. You can watch yourself get rich. If you have crypto, go right now to coincap.io, or you can use the Apple Store or Google Play to get the app. I love CoinCap. Coincap.io. Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
All right, so, Darryl, what percentage match are you with Dave in Poughkeepsie?
19.
Ooh, I'm 38% match with Dave in Poughkeepsie on OkCupid. His profile, Hudson Valley Guy, which is his name, was his name on YouTube.
Yes.
When we first had Dave in New York call the show, we learned very quickly about his YouTube channel. I forget how we figured it out, but we found the channel because I think he talked about it. I think he actually talked about it.
He talked about it.
And
talked about what I think at one time he had like 5 YouTube channels, and he talked about one of them, and we found all 5, and he has since deleted all of the videos.
I was so sad that he deleted those videos because some of them were really comedy gold, unintentional comedy gold, but nonetheless they were pretty hilarious. Maybe he'll get making those videos again. Anyway, he called in a moment ago asking us to remove a thread about him from our Free Talk Live BBS, which is the forum that we had up for many years and still stands today, but just more of as an archive than anything because it's not open to new signups and users cannot log in and post. And so he's asking us to remove it. He claims he's having a difficult time finding a job. But to be clear, Dave has always had a difficult time finding a job.
And he doesn't claim that it's in any way related. Like there's no story about how there's some kind of relation between this particular thread and him getting a job. Because, well, the internet's replete with Dave's shenanigans.
He's been around being an awful, awful person on the internet for years before he ever called Free Talk Live.
I'm pretty sure that Cupid profile of his is going to be a much bigger problem than that thread.
He has put up a few videos on his YouTube channel again.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic. All right,
he has a 7-second art film of him opening his P.O. box.
Okay. Well, he does some of those weird art films every now and then.
And I'm using the term art film very, very, very liberally.
You know, maybe Dave just isn't getting a good night's sleep, and he needs to try out MyPillow. If he goes to MyPillow.com and uses code FTL, he can get a MyPillow and another MyPillow for free when use code FTL over at MyPillow.com. Why would you want the MyPillow? Because it works very well. Whether you've got headaches chronically or back pain or not, this is a great pillow. I've been using it recently. In fact, all 3 of us have the MyPillow, and it is the best pillow that I've ever used. You can wash it in your washer and dry it in your dryer. So if you're preparing yourself, your bedroom, if you're Dave and you've got a new date coming in and you're getting things ready, you can actually wash and dry your pillows just to make sure they are as clean as they possibly can be, because you never know how much sweat and dirt and who knows what else is getting into your older pillows over time. It's a great product, and it does a great job of actually sort of molding to your neck and helping hold your neck in a proper position. And it works great. If you don't agree after you buy it, there's a 60-day money-back guarantee. So you really have nothing to lose here. Just go to MyPillow.com. Plus, there's a 10-year warranty on the product itself. You can use code FTL to get an extra pillow free or get half off your just one pillow. MyPillow.com, code FTL. As we go to Francis, calling from Philadelphia. You're on Free Talk Live. Francis.
Hey, Dave. Welcome back, Dave. Oh, my God. So, like 4 or 5 years ago, I was like an Obama bot, and I'd probably like listen to like a little bit of Alex Jones or whatever, and I like came across you guys, and there was Dave, and Dave is a horrible, horrible human being. He was like the worst internet troll I've ever heard. He's worse than Rao, worse than Sara, worse than anybody. And Dave deserves what he gets. Auction. I say auction.
How much are you bidding?
I will bid $25.
There you go.
Okay, so wait, are we doing an auction or are we doing an actual you got to bid in order to be bidding? Like meaning that there's
Let's do an auction.
There's a fundraiser going on
right there's
now.
A fundraiser going on. Well, the way silent auctions work, and this would be slightly different from a silent auction because you would actually have to wind up, verbalizing.
You have to put money down.
Right, but no. So at the NHLA dinner a couple of weeks ago, they had a silent auction, and at the end of no more bids accepted, whoever was the highest person had to then pay up.
Right.
So
that's not going to get us much money, though.
Right.
If we make it so anybody who's the highest, whoever the highest bidder is,
whoever actually donates the most money to the
satellite fundraiser,
satellite fundraiser gets to make the say.
All right, I'm in agreement with that here. Should we remove Dave's his offensive thread, the thread on the Free Talk Live BBS that he doesn't like, the top bidder of the LRN.FM fundraiser will get to be the decider.
Well, where does one go?
On that. You can go to fund.lrn.fm. That's fund.lrn.fm.
And what we're talking about here is just funding for satellite distribution on free-to-air satellites
Correct.
across Africa, Europe, and North America. Is that right?
Well, we'd like to add Europe, but right now we are covering North and Central America and most of Africa, so sub-Saharan Africa. So please go to fund.lrn.fm and dig deep, because Dave is counting on you. Now, a question for you, Francis. Were you one of the people who knew who Dave was before you found Free Talk Live?
No, he was just like a Ralph guy to me. And Ralph is like a troll. And I'm like a black dude, and I was like an Obama bot back in the day. Mm-hmm. And I just felt like through Ron Paul or whatever, just stumbled upon liberty. And I think this is a great lesson for Dave in responsibility. Like, same thing with Sara. Like, Sara has no job. She's like not trying to work. And it's just a little self-responsibility for your own actions in life.
Francis,
it goes a long way.
Thanks for weighing in tonight. I appreciate hearing from you, and thanks in advance if you do throw something into the satellite fundraiser. Our toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Skype username is LRN.FM. So this brings up a larger question, though, of generally, not just Dave, because Dave's been he's been pretty rude over the years. He's not really good with people. And he's done all of this to himself, essentially. But there are other people who will request from time to time content being taken down. Rob Mathias just got a request. He's the host of the Rebel Love Show, one of the bloggers at freekeen.com. He recorded video at a cop watch or a cop block checkpoint where there was a DUI checkpoint going on. The cop blockers went down there, and he recorded video of some guy who apparently was honking in favor of the cop blockers. So he was against the DUI checkpoint, in favor of the cop blockers. And I guess this dude who was honking ended up getting pulled over by the police because he was honking, and the police went after him for it. Now this dude is going to court over this matter, and he contacted Rob to ask him to remove the video. And so Rob was asking people online today, what's your opinion about this? Should I go ahead and take this down? And I think that generally my response is yes, I will remove something if someone is nice about when they how they ask about that, and if I don't think there's some sort of critical reason to have the video up. So if generally my belief is if I come across a scene with somebody interacting with the police, I will generally respect the request of the individual interacting with the police. So I will ask before I start recording, typically, hey, do you mind if I stand here and record this? Some people do mind. They don't want to be seen on YouTube being pulled over. They don't want mom to see them, or whoever it is. They don't want to see them on YouTube, so they don't want it to happen. And so in that case, I'll sometimes just walk away entirely because, hey, if you don't want me to record it, you probably don't want me here at all.
Then what am I doing here?
See you later. Those that do want me to record it, I'll stand there and quietly record their interaction. And so it really just depends on how people behave. Now, if all of a sudden the police start beating somebody that they told me to not record and I'm still around for it, odds are good I'm going to record
Things are going to change.
Yeah, odds are good I'm just going to go ahead and make the decision to disrespect their request and record it. But overall, I think that you should respect requests like that from someone who's treating you with respect.
I get where you're coming from, but I really dislike the internet's horde of homework providers. As a talk show host, everybody wants me to do something. And none of them want to provide any money to do it. So when somebody says, "Hey, take this down," that's tech work. And
you got stuff to do.
It may only take you 10 minutes to do it, but hey, what's your time worth?
You can share your thoughts on takedown requests 855-450-FREE.
Adam Kokesh has agreed to meet Bernie Sanders in any city in America on any day between now and the end of the year for a friendly debate on socialism versus voluntarism, in which Bernie can choose an objective moderator. To sweeten the deal, Roger Ver, a.k.a. Bitcoin Jesus, has offered that upon completion of a 3-hour debate in which both men have equal time, he will donate a total of $100,000 worth of Bitcoin to the charity of each man's choice, $50,000 apiece. Learn more at bernie.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled. by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. It's Bitcoin.com.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Injury Help Desk is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states. Attention prescription antibiotic drug users. Have you or a loved one suffered an aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, or abdominal aortic aneurysm after taking the prescription antibiotic drugs Levaquin or Avelox? These popular antibiotic drugs have been prescribed more than 80 million times since 2004, and medical studies show an increased risk of the following injuries: aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, and abdominal aortic aneurysm. If you or a loved one used the prescription antibiotic drugs Levaquin or Avelox and suffered from aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, or abdominal aortic aneurysm, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. You may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-823-3851. 800-823-3851. 800-823-3851.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement, and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Arcade City is a ride-sharing app built by drivers, not a mega corporation. As a driver with Arcade City, you can keep all of what you earn. Sign up now to drive for or ride with Arcade City at arcade.freetalklive.com. Arcade City is connecting drivers directly with riders and has been making headlines for disrupting the ride-sharing industry. Sign up now at arcade.freetalklive.com. That's arcade.freetalklive.com.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 641-552-5046. That's 641-552-5046.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can join us right here. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Skype username is LRN.FM. With you in studio, Ian here.
And Mark.
And Darryl.
And don't forget, you can get interactive on our website for free. But if you like what we're doing with Free Talk Live, then please become Free Talk Live amplifier at amp.freetalklive.com. You go to amp.freetalklive.com. You can sign up there with any major credit card through PayPal or use Visa or MasterCard right there on our site. And it's $5 a month. And that's $5 a month that we can invest into Free Talk Live that will help us get on new radio stations. We've got a new one coming on this Sunday. We can't say which one yet, but stay tuned. We'll keep you informed about that. New Mexico, I can say that much. We're going to be in New Mexico, which is good news.
We're in New Mexico.
We're going to be in a different place in New Mexico. So we'll keep you informed about that. But it's your $5 a month, your AMP dollars, that are helping make that growth possible. So please AMP the show and get perks like access to the AMP-only call-in lines, the AMP-only Facebook group, and the AMP-only podcast. And get all the details. Get signed up over at amp.freetalklive.com. amp.freetalklive.com. By the way, breaking news, according to RT.com, WikiLeaks has now released voicemails from the Democratic National Committee. So we had just about a week ago, WikiLeaks released 20,000 plus emails between Democratic National Committee members that you can go to their website and you can actually search through. And now there are about, 29 MP3s that have been released.
Just 29?
Yep, just 29 of them, which makes it so relatively easy to listen to them all.
Yeah.
But between, I don't know, I guess supposedly some voicemails left for Democratic National Committee members. Anyways, pretty much breaking news as of right now. If you hear something that you want to share with us, you're welcome to. Our number here, 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. We're going to go to Skype again here. Ian is back on the line. He had a really bad connection earlier, but he has actually cleaned it up. Ian in China, are you with us?
Yes, I've cleaned up my act.
You sure have. All right, thank you.
Sounds much better.
Yeah, we can actually now listen to you and pleasantly understand what you're saying. So what else were you calling in tonight about? Something about Donald Trump?
Well, yeah, the Chinese are scared to death of this guy.
Really?
Oh, the government, they're as bad as CNN. Anytime they open their mouth about Trump, you know it's going to be followed by a list of expletives.
The Chinese people on television or just Chinese people on the streets?
TV and radio, the people on the streets don't really think about it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't think about anything.
So is the idea that Trump is going to increase tariffs and possibly start a war? What's the fear?
The big fear is that Trump is going to make things fair. The people understand. They admit to you openly, China has been putting the screws to the U.S. for a long time. And here's Trump saying, not anymore. And the people are thinking, okay, that's going to take our poorly managed economy and hurt it even more.
So what are the proposals that Trump has been making?
Okay, real proposals or proposals as the Beijing government lets them hear?
Well, I'd love to hear the ones that Beijing says, because, with a Trump proposal, you don't even know what's true and what's false. He just kind of, says things during interviews.
He does. I love Trump because he just sort of says, here's how I feel right now.
Yeah.
Well, Beijing, let's see. Trump is planning on building up the South China Sea with the entire 7th Fleet and covering the ocean with a cordon of long-range bombers. He's planning on telling all American firms, get out of China or we'll confiscate your assets and jail your CEOs.
So that's what the Beijing media is telling the Chinese people.
Yes. I understand.
What is Trump actually saying?
Well, I'm not in Beijing.
Okay.
Where it's sort of watered down because, I went to China for 2 weeks in Beijing. I'm an expert on China. Go home.
Right.
How long have you lived in China?
20 years.
Wow. Okay. I'd say that qualifies you as close to an expert.
Well, you know what an expert is? We don't have to go there.
A person from out of town?
An expert, that's a drip under pressure. A has-been drip under pressure. An expert.
Gotcha.
I came to China originally with doctors. It was one of the earlier versions of Doctors Cross Borders.
Mm-hmm.
And I came back again and settled down during the SARS epidemic, which was considerably more than we expected and a lot more than the world heard about.
Well, interesting. It definitely seems like Trump has been using China as a bad guy in some of his proposals. I don't have them in front of me. I just remember hearing that he's been sort of positioning China as though that they're some sort of an enemy when they're really just
to be honest.
Go ahead.
China is, in large part, the bad guy when it comes to their currency manipulation. Right here, in one of the cities near where I live, they just announced to 40,000 steel workers that they're getting a 45% reduction in pay because America won't accept dumped steel anymore.
So is it a state-run steel manufacturer?
Every major manufacturer is state-run.
State-run. Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting place. And, of course, Hong Kong still ranks as the #1 most economically free place in the entire globe because apparently China's been relatively hands-off with Hong Kong. Have you followed along with any of that?
Can I do something stupid? Can I plug my book or say no?
Okay, go ahead, quick.
Okay, it's called Eyes on China. It's available from Amazon and Kindle.
All right.
And next week, Paper Dragon comes out.
Very cool. And well, you can contact Mark at freetalklive.com to actually get a real advertising package for.
It'll be more effective than the plug.
For future reference. Thank you, Ian, for the call all the way from China. It sounded great. The third time was the charm. Toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. By the way, what I recommended that he do to sound better is to call the Echo Test service. So if you're a Skype user and you've never actually done this, it's the first thing they generally recommend that you do when you install Skype. You call the Echo Test service. A British woman says, leave some sort of message at the beep, and then you talk, and then it'll play that back to you. So you can then hear what your microphone setup actually sounds like to the person that you're calling. So that's a good thing to do before you call Free Talk Live, because sometimes we don't screen the Skype callers, and sometimes it's to our detriment, like in that particular case. But if we're in the middle of a segment and a Skype call comes in, most of the time I'll go to the call without having done an audio check on them, because most of the time it works out pretty well.
Right, but we're also not doing audio checks on the people that call on the telephone.
True, but the board operator is doing that to some extent, and although they claim sometimes they sound different on the phone than they do when they finally put them on the air.
Right, and sometimes people will be traveling, they call on the cell phone, and then they wind up hitting a bad cell.
A bad spot, sure. So, again, the question is that we were discussing is about takedowns. When somebody asks for a thing to be taken down, some sort of item from the internet, whether it's a forum post or a video or something like that.
Or a random picture that happens to have their house in the photo.
Yeah, it can be a tough thing, because especially if it's attached to something that's important to you. Let's say a video that you took in public that wasn't even of the individual in the case that wants the takedown, but they appear in the background of the video, and they're like, well, I don't want to be in that video. Well, the video wasn't really about you. And
right, Ian, you said that you generally err on the side of taking things down, but I'm not sure that's true. I've seen instances where people that have posted things, they've put threads on the BBS, and you're like, I'm not taking that down. That's the truth as they presented it at that time. Or, for instance, Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree, a movie that you produced, has in it video of some woman who's screaming about, you can't take video of me because I have a kid with me or something, and you can't take video of people under the age of 18.
I don't think it's in that movie.
Is it not underneath
No.
it? Okay. Well, either way, I'll bet you wouldn't have taken that down, because in that same video, her boyfriend punches Derek J. And takes his camera from him.
Yeah, there are certain circumstances where it's evident, if it's evidence of a crime.
But most of the time people have asked you to do it, you have said no, because most of the time
you don't know, because you don't know all the times. You don't know all the times.
Then you certainly haven't
And
mentioned
also,
it to
the
me.
video that you're talking about was not a video that Ian took. That was a video that
Derek
Derek took.
I understand. He corrected me on that. However, I'll bet you dollars to $100 bills that Ian would have taken that thing down if he had the
no, my
ability
my general response, if I didn't post it, is that it's not my business. I'm not going to take down someone else's post. If you want to convince Derek J to take down the video that he has posted, then you should try to convince Derek J. But don't use me as your enforcer to come in there and try and remove something that you've put up. I wish I could think of, there was another example of somebody who asked me to do that where I decided not to, and I'm spacing out on exactly what it was. It was something related to a Free Keen blog post. But anyway, it just
there was
depends.
the blog post that the judge wanted taken down.
Oh, yeah, that's right, and I refused that one. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, so it really just depends. Generally, you should be nice about those requests, because it makes me less likely to do it. Hour 3's coming up.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Well, tipping might be a great way. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card-sized Bitcoin tip that is easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets, spending, and returns to the user if unused? Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom, and with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Wednesday, gold is $7 higher at $1,328 per ounce. Silver is 38 cents higher at $20.07 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $653 US. Buying gold and silver is one way to protect yourself from having government spending consume the value of your savings. For more information, give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, July 27, 2016. Silver is trading at $19.70 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,324 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $657. Antiwar.com reports following previous reports that they have credible evidence of Turkey torturing post-coup detainees. Amnesty International is doubling down on their concern, calling for an immediate halt to all mistreatment of what is now in excess of 10,000 people arrested over the coup attempt. The imposition of a state of emergency across Turkey has added to the concern, as it allows President Erdogan to extend the detention without charges period from 4 days to 30 days. This is greatly increasing the risk of those detainees being tortured. Turkish prisons have a spotty human rights record in the first place, and since the coup, a lot of the detainees aren't even being held in formal prisons, but rather in makeshift detention centers set up after the failed coup, with images repeatedly showing large numbers of bound men sitting on the floor of a single room surrounded by guards. Lawyers have reported seeing detainees brought in to be interrogated by prosecutors already covered in blood, with reports that a number of detainees have been raped in custody as part of the increasingly violent effort to get people to talk. If you're fed up with the government running every aspect of your life, but you're not listening to the Lava Flow podcast yet, what's wrong with you? Go right now to thelavaflow.com/listen. The Lava Flow podcast, channeling the flow of information to the libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, voluntarist, and agorist community. Subscribe today using any podcatcher at thelavaflow.com/listen, or just go back to sucking up to the government. The Lava Flow podcast, striking the root every episode. UPI reports after running through all 57 voting states and territories, Senator Bernie Sanders stepped forward Tuesday to motion that Democrats set aside their delegate counts and move past a divisive primary campaign, nominating by acclamation Hillary Clinton as the party's candidate for the President of the United States. The DNC roll call vote Tuesday was unusual in its choreography, where normally the winning candidate seeks a strategic, symbolic, or personally meaningful delegation to put them over the top, and other delegations accede to the nominee's wishes. Clinton received the 2,382 votes needed, as determined simply by alphabetic order, when South Dakota's delegation took its turn. Vermont, Sanders' home state, allowed itself to be skipped in order to vote last. After all the delegates cast their votes, 2,838 for Clinton, 1,843 for Sanders, and 55 abstentions, Sanders motioned to the chair to set aside the delegate totals and enable Clinton to be named the party's nominee by acclamation, the parliamentary equivalent of unanimous consent. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports the U.S. Food and Drug Administration opened the door on Tuesday to a change in its blood donor deferral recommendations, which currently prohibit donations from gay men for a year following their last sexual encounter in order to reduce the risk of transmitting HIV, the virus that causes AIDS. In December, the FDA overturned a 30-year ban on all blood donations from men who have had sex with other men, saying the change was based on science showing an indefinite ban was not necessary to prevent the transmission of HIV. The FDA is now signaling it may go further. Gay rights advocates say the latest update did not go far enough and that the agency's recommendations should move closer to individual risk assessment, which could, for example, look at whether an individual has been in a monogamous relationship. Their criticism intensified in the wake of a mass shooting at a gay nightclub in Orlando, Florida in June, which saw many gay men unable to donate blood even as blood banks put out calls for donors. In a notice posted to the Federal Register, the FDA said it was enabling a public docket for comment about its current recommendations and that interested people should submit comments backed by scientific evidence supporting alternative potential policies to reduce the risk of HIV transmission. Such suggestions could include the feasibility of moving from the existing one-time based deferrals related to risk behavior to alternative deferral options, such as the use of individual risk assessments. The agency said it would take the comments into account as it continues to reevaluate and update blood donor deferral policies as new scientific information becomes available. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
A new report by the Department of Health and Human Services has found that the average male is 4,000% less effective in fights than he imagines, casting powerful doubts on many men's claims that they could take someone out in 2 seconds or smash a guy's face in with their fist.
On average, men describing hypothetical fights overestimated their level of combat skill by a factor of 40, with 80% of males incorrectly predicting they could mess a guy up real bad with one solid punch to the jaw. During actual physical altercations, however, these men were statistically more likely to end up hurting themselves, or, most commonly, trying to diffuse the tension by nervously saying, "Hey man, let's all just calm down, okay?" before any fighting even came to pass.
Researchers discovered that men were significantly weaker than they verbally indicated while chatting with friends in bars and locker rooms, and that men who were 90% sure they could tear someone a new asshole tended to succeed in fewer than 1 in 10 fights.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. We're launching into the third hour of the program. Plenty of time for you to join us here to bring up whatever's on your mind at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Tonight in studio, it's Ian.
And Mark.
And Darryl.
By the way, we did discover that Dave Grady, who is our caller from Poughkeepsie, New York, the old former chronic caller who is not so chronic anymore. And you know what? I didn't like it when he was a chronic caller, but I miss having him every now and then. And so it was nice to hear from Dave tonight, even though all he was doing was begging us to take down a thread from our forum. But he's been making videos for about 7 months now. So prior to 7 months ago, he had videos, thousands of videos that he had made on his various YouTube channels. His main one is Hudson Valley Guy and then the number 1. That's his main channel that he has. And that's where he deleted all of his videos, like thousands of videos with like a couple dozen views apiece. He deleted all of them and then posted a video about how he was getting out of YouTube. Then, within a month, had started posting new videos. So there's still about 7 months worth of videos on there. So if you're looking for fresh Dave Grady content, he's got it.
Several trips to the mailbox.
Really? More than one? Okay.
So
what are we checking for? What is he waiting on?
Whatever's in the mailbox. Probably not bills.
A paycheck.
Not bills.
He's got an almost 6-minute video titled, "What Does BBW Actually Mean?"
Isn't it Big Beautiful Woman? Okay.
That's generally what it stands for. Yep.
So how do you delete all but one video off of your account? I can imagine there's a button for deleting all your videos, perhaps, but
no, you've got to go page by page.
Yeah, you'd probably have to go one at a time.
Man,
and delete them.
The kind of time that it would take to delete
or
all
shut
those
down
videos.
the channel itself.
But
he
didn't do that.
But the easy way to do this is you click on your profile name or your little icon in the upper right corner. click on Creator Studio, and then
you can tick box them, right? You can
there's a little box you can click that checks everything on that page.
Okay.
And then you can do a bulk selection.
It wouldn't take
and then you would have to do that for each. Well, if you've got thousands of videos, it only shows
hours.
30 per page.
Dave's got plenty of time, dude. He doesn't have a job.
He's
sitting
making
at
a
home
lot
on
of
welfare.
videos asking for people to hire him.
Yep, that's one of his newest videos is, let's see.
Can someone out there
please hire me?
Quote, please hire me, end quote.
Which was posted right after another one of him, both recorded in his car. The one prior to that, please hire me, call me, and hire me, with a bunch of exclamation marks, and all in capital letters. So let's go to your phone calls and thoughts. You know, Dave's always looking for a date. Sarah, do you like men?
I called in about, did you know that our mayor really used the red light camera?
Yeah. But what about
a mayor? A male horse used a red light camera.
It's a female horse.
No. Look, you called about the mayor and the red light cameras last night. Let's talk about your dating life instead, Sarah. Because, look, Dave Grady in Poughkeepsie, New York is a lonely, lonely man. I'm just wondering, are you into men? Because I don't want to be presumptuous.
I don't want to talk about men. I'm not that interested.
Okay, all right. See, I didn't want to presume.
Are you interested in women?
No, I'm celibate right now. But
really?
Yeah, but
Dave can help you with that.
The election result, he used it to win his re-election.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they had it.
Is the mayor looking for a date? Because Dave might be ready to just give up on women. I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
He had that.
Although it does say he's straight. It says here on his Cupid profile, it says that he's straight. Now, he's looking for a woman between ages 20 and 39.
That's a pretty wide range.
Short and long-term dating, casual sex, and new friends. Now, Sarah, you said
That's pretty much everything.
You are celibate. Does that mean that you're also not interested?
You said right now.
I know. Does that mean that you're not interested in? We know that means you're not having sex, but
She's not interested in talking to you about this subject.
Does that mean that you're not? Well, yeah, that's fine. But I still want to ask the question. Does that mean that you're not interested in a date, in becoming close with somebody, or maybe a little bit of snuggling?
No, I'm not interested because I'm focused on getting our red light cameras back here in Albuquerque.
You are a singular mindset. I have an appreciation for that,
So would
Sarah.
you date the owner of the red light camera company to make sure that they could put up red light cameras at every intersection, including the ones that don't yet have red lights?
Well, you know what? We might get 50 back this time around. With Albuquerque, when we get our cameras turned back on, I really believe that we're going to get 50 back because there's a big contrast.
Now, once you get the cameras turned back on, let's presume you're successful at this because, it's going to be a hard road to get that to happen.
Roads are hard. That's generally how they work. If they were soft, then, cars would sort of sink.
Right, given that it's... well, anyway, Sarah, so once that happens, do you feel like you're going to get back into the dating world? Or is there another project that you're going to obsess over?
I think here in New Mexico, it's going to be an ongoing battle because we have a culture of reckless driving.
Yep, there's always something.
It's a habit that has evolved.
I get accused of being way too into activism and not doing other things, say with relationships and things like that. I get accused of that, but it sounds like, Sarah, you're even more singularly minded towards that.
Yep.
I will.
So is there a red light camera threshold at which you're willing to begin dating again?
Well, you know what? That's not that important to me.
No?
I'm 47 years old.
Okay, so you're out of Dave's range.
Well, it's just like when your hormones are raging and you're young and dumb and crazy and you're all out there. But I think my hormones are drying up. What I was telling you was that.
Speaking as a 45-year-old man, I can tell you that's not the most attractive thing I've heard.
Well, anyway,
Well, she's not trying to attract you, sir.
I'm just saying, if she's in the age range, she's 2 years older than I am.
Have you had a situation, Sarah, where you have been working hard on getting red light cameras back into Albuquerque, and there's somebody who takes an interest in you, and you've had to turn them down? Have you had to push away potential male or female suitors?
You know something? We could get beyond that. You know, I know that we're sexual creatures, but we don't have to be obsessed about it. And then
I agree with you. I agree with you. Thank you, Sarah, for the call tonight. I appreciate it. I'm just trying to help Dave. That's all. I mean, the poor guy.
Nothing's so attractive in the dating world as somebody who says, "I know we're sexual creatures, but we don't have to obsess upon it."
Let's continue. Well, she's not in the dating world, Mark. The toll-free number here.
Thank God for everybody in the dating world.
855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well. I believe we're going to do some voting stuff here. Darryl, you've got a story about reason. I don't know if it's a story. Where did this come from? Was it a Facebook post or what was this? Reasons not to vote. Where did it come from?
Notbeinggoverned.com.
Okay, sounds like a libertarian
The website is titled The Art of Not Being Governed, 20 Reasons.
It certainly isn't a science, I can tell you that.
20 reasons.
20 reasons.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good luck getting through
Art
all these.
of not being governed. I would love to see the game plan for not being governed, because I'm going to boldly state before we read any of these is whoever wrote this is being governed.
Oh,
and
yes, of
the
course.
fact that they choose to vote or not choose to vote is completely irrelevant to that fact.
That's true. All right, let's
Number one. If one votes, one participates. If one participates, one condones and endorses the process and subsequently what those elected representatives do and say in your name.
Right. A bear chases you, so you have condoned by participating in the chase.
You mean if you're running away? You're
right.
condoning?
Yeah, but
or
I'm
if
sorry.
you sit there and get mauled,
Right.
either way
you get mauled.
You're
but in what
condoning
case...
the bear being hungry and doing what bears do.
Yeah. This is just so insulting.
Okay, look, the Liberty Movement, okay. The objectivist movement came out of rationalism, supposedly, from Ayn Rand. And the relationship between the Liberty Movement and the objectivist movement is strong. And if we cannot base our ideas in reason and rationality, we can't go anywhere beyond where we are today. So people who make, just platitudes like this, okay, if you vote, you consent. Prove it.
Yeah, it's just a belief.
Show me my consent.
Right. It's a
demonstrate it.
I'll say my analogy.
Hold on. So they might as well embrace the social contract, because it's basically them saying that you are part of that. This is their belief about the social contract, that such a thing could exist, that by simply checking a box that you've agreed to everything that happens from that point forward. It's pretty ridiculous. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. More of these reasons supposedly not to vote coming up.
When I adopted her, she was a mess. Scabs, itching, licking, missing fur, hot spots, a thin, dull coat. So I take the dog to the vet for the standard run-of-the-mill tests and treatments. No results. I hear your advertisement on the radio.
DINOVITE.com.
859-428-1000. So I get the 5-pound box of Dinovite and the Lico Chops within a 4-week total. Instead of a German Setter, I have a German Shepherd. Sheba is 105 lean pounds of shiny, smooth, happy dog for life because she gets fed Dinovite. And the results, they're just incredibly outstanding. And she loves it. When you rescue a dog, you have to do the right thing. You've got to feed him right for life. Do the Dinovite. Dinovite for life.
859-428-1000. DINOVITE.com.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Injury Help Desk is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states. Attention prescription antibiotic drug users. Have you or a loved one suffered an aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, or abdominal aortic aneurysm after taking the prescription antibiotic drugs Levaquin or Avelox? These popular antibiotic drugs have been prescribed more than 80 million times since 2004, and medical studies show an increased risk of the following injuries: aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, and abdominal aortic aneurysm. If you or a loved one used the prescription antibiotic drugs Levaquin or Avelox and suffered from aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, or abdominal aortic aneurysm, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. You may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-823-3851. 800-823-3851. 800-823-3851.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. You may already know about the Free Talk Live audio-on-demand phone line at 641-793-9660. Did you know that not only can you listen to Free Talk Live via your phone, you can also leave a message and have it delivered to Free Talk Live's hosts? To leave us your thoughts, just dial 641-793-9660. That's 641-793-9660. Press 2 for Free Talk Live, and then hit 0 to leave your message.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. We're playing a little game here in the studio tonight, and
we're playing a couple of games.
You can play along at home. I don't know if we should play it on the air. Maybe we should if we, when we get through the list of the voting reasons not to vote. But we've been talking about Dave Grady from Poughkeepsie, New York.
Because he called
to
tell the world, if you Google Dave Grady, Poughkeepsie, New York, you will find things on a Free Talk Live BBS
That's right,
thread.
our forum.
And one of those things that you find is his OkCupid profile.
Which we are now going through. When you click on the little match, how much percentage of match you have with the person, it then shows you a series of questions. This is one of the things that makes OkCupid probably the best site out there for dating that I've seen.
Skynet agrees.
Basically it asks you a series of questions that if you've got on your profile already, then it'll tell you what matches you got with the person in question.
Yeah, and you can sort those by unacceptable answers, acceptable answers, questions that they've answered that I've not.
And so let's see here. So just a couple of highlights so far. So we've just been going down the page and just comparing, seeing what Dave's answers to some of these questions are. He would be very uncomfortable if his significant other made more money than him. And then he adds a comment, because you can add comments to your answers. He yells, "If they were making more money than me, I'd want to know why." But here's a good one. If your partner made a lot of noise while enjoying sex, would this be a turn on or a turn off for you? And for Dave, that's a turn off. But not only that, he then adds in this comment, "Seriously, just shut the F up." Wow.
Doesn't he add, "I need to concentrate"?
That's another question, actually.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. I'll try to find that one here.
How
for
important to you is communication during sex?
Yeah. Well, okay. So in this one, how much communication is ideal during sex? The answer he chose was one of the answers available. So this is not a comment from him. It's none. Shut up so I can concentrate. I'm sure
there's not a lot of concentration that needs to happen.
I'm sure all kinds of women are just ready to get into bed with Dave here. So we'll continue with that. You can join us toll free at 855-450-FREE. We've been talking about voting and reasons not to vote. We're going to get back into that here in moments. But first, let's talk to Tim in Wyoming. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Tim.
Hey, Ian. Thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it.
Sure, Tim. Go ahead.
yeah, it's funny that Sara happened to be on, and you were mentioning the Cupid thing. I've only heard a little bit of the show, but obviously, when a woman says that she's dried up or whatever, I mean, drying up her hormones, yeah, I mean, that's not going to turn anyone on, obviously, her obsessions. But anyway, now I wanted to, if you just said I love you to her, maybe it would have cured everything.
Oh.
I'm thinking, well, you know what I'm saying. I mean, you know, the thing last night was, you're talking about when is the proper time or improper time to say I love you.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're kind of in the same vein as last night as far as the show goes. But maybe she just has never had anyone say that to her. Maybe it's been so long since that's happened to her that
Could
she
very well be.
feels like maybe that she's just stuck on public transportation for that reason.
All right.
But no. What's that?
Go ahead with what else you were calling about.
No, I was going to say. I mean, the main reason I called was, you know, Donald Trump was able to get Hillary Clinton's campaign to admit something against interest. Did you know that?
What was that?
Her campaign actually admitted that his talking about Russia possibly releasing Clinton's emails was a national security issue. And so she's never said that. She never said anything about it being a national security issue of the emails. And now her campaign has literally admitted it. And I say against interest because she's always played it off as though it didn't matter. You know what?
It's a great point. But here, let me ask you this though. So Putin, the premier of Russia or whatever is the terminology is, president of Russia, he supports Trump. And you can, all in the Russian media, everybody's like Trump. They like Trump. Now, China, they don't like him so much, but Russia does. I guess I would ask this: if Russia did hack Clinton's email server at her house, which is ridiculously
well, the
secure.
claim is that they didn't hack that, but they hacked the DNC email server.
The claim is they didn't hack it. I can assure you, lots of people are afraid that Russia hacked her server.
Right, but no, the claim by the DNC is that the Russians did not hack Hillary's personal server. They hacked the DNC server, which was in the offices of the DNC.
Right. So if they can hack the DNC server, they can certainly hack Hillary Clinton's home computer.
Oh, I'm not saying that whoever hacked the DNC server was not capable of hacking Hillary's. I'm just saying the DNC and Hillary are saying, no, Hillary's server was not hacked. The other one was.
Well, I would love to hear somebody actually claim that Hillary's server wasn't hacked, because how would you know? But I guess the question I would have is if Russia hacked Hillary's server and they had information that was of value that they could blackmail her with, wouldn't they be advocating for her to be in office? Just a thought.
I think that they'd probably prefer Trump no matter what, because she's been a national security disaster since the beginning. I mean, since she entered the White House with Bill Clinton. So there's the problem right there. I mean, it was before that, though, that she became a national security disaster. But I mean, by her own stupidity, if you will, or her own complicity in spying, I'd just call her a spy, really. I mean, she's just basically she used her email as a pigeon drop. She used it as a dead drop for information for other countries to come and access. And when she and Bill Clinton were in the White House, they literally gave secrets to China. Of course, China wants her rather than Trump, who wants to bring businesses back to the United States. That's what he wants to do. They hate him. They hate the idea that he wants to make America sovereign again by comparison with what China is. And I know the idea. I know sovereignty rather than freedom for everybody. But at the same time, our country is literally under attack from people, from China, North Korea, other countries.
China is not attacking the United States. Are you suggesting that providing affordable products to people is somehow an attack?
The reason they're providing affordable products to people is they have slave labor. They barely pay their people to work on the thing.
It's not fair to compare the paycheck that someone receives in a different economy with what people are getting paid in the United States, right? That doesn't.
People get a a paycheck or a bullet in the head. They do what they're told to do. And
yeah,
they
I don't know about that.
Or they die.
That sounds like propaganda to me, Tim. Thank you for the call tonight. I appreciate it. Now, there are prison labor. That does exist in China, but it also exists in the United States.
Right.
And I'm not defending prison labor, but, one of the things that happens is American companies will have auditors come in and, make sure that they're not actually using prison labor. And if they are, they're outed publicly like, oh, such and such company is using prison labor in China. And then all of a sudden they decide to not use prison labor anymore because that generally isn't a very popular thing amongst their American customers once they find out about it.
Yeah, so there have been some instances of door locking factories in China and that sort of thing. I'm against that. However, many people choose the jobs that they choose in China because of what their other options are.
Working in the fields for 16 hours a day?
Right.
Yeah. So it's actually moving up for a lot of people to get these manufacturing jobs. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, and if Trump wants to put in tariffs, that is not freedom. It's Free Talk Live.
Worried about lead, fluoride, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Get a ProPure with the Pro 1G 2.0 cleanable reusable filter and remove up to 200 contaminants. Drink water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure products, including the new ProMax shower filter. There's a ProPure for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. I know this sounds unbelievable, but at my house, we saved as much as 45% off of a new item on Amazon. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com. Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit, did your nerves spike? You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719 That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can join us here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. What is your percentage match with Hudson Valley Guy on OkCupid? We know him as Dave Grady, one of our longtime callers here on the program. It had actually been a while since we've heard from him. So in the studio tonight, he had actually called into the show. So he was complaining about a BBS thread on our forum. It led us to think about Dave and do a little digging and see what he's been up to recently. He's got himself a very detailed profile on OkCupid with over 680 questions answered. So we're doing a little comparison here. And you can compare yourself to Dave and what he thinks about things. Dave, how do you feel about kids? Answer, how revolting. Now, that's one of the accepted responses. The note that he adds to it is the following. I'm looking to date a woman, I guess, actually is what he says. I'm looking to date a woman who does not have any kids. I'm sick of seeing little ones screaming all the time. Effing annoying. God, how revolting. Shudder. Let's go to Nick. He's in Boston.
Isn't that the same answer you gave?
No, I actually put down that I'm indifferent. I tend to not like kids, but I can sort of tolerate them.
Don't worry, Jazzy will eat the baby.
There you go. Nick, you're on it, calling from Boston. Hello there.
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I think you guys are being jerks to Dave. He's not playing with... Hear me out. He's not playing with a full deck of cards, clearly. He doesn't have the ability to, argue his point, I think. And he did ask you guys very nicely to take it down. This is a false accusation. Dave may be a lot of things, but he's not a rapist. And if you Google Dave Grady from Poughkeepsie, it's literally the second result. That Dave Grady raped a woman in Poughkeepsie. So if any employer just does that, that's the thing he's calling about. And I know Dave. He may be an internet troll and all of this other stuff, but he's not a rapist.
I don't see that on the results. I see the second result is Dave Grady Facebook profile. But then again, maybe it's Google giving me customized results. I don't know.
Well, if you Google Dave Grady Poughkeepsie, New York, you'll see the Dave Grady appreciation thing. And for whatever reason, the one post that it highlights is a rape accusation.
Oh, so it's in the thread. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's like you can see it in the tiny description. So you don't even have to click on the link. So any employer is not going to even bother clicking on the link. They're just going to be like, all right, he's a rapist. Forget about it. So I agree with Dave. This is very damaging. And it almost
I'm looking through startpage.com, which uses Google's, which basically uses Google, but does it anonymized. And ours doesn't come up on the first page. It has his Facebook page. It has his Craigslist thing. It's something to do with tri-state.
Well, look,
services.
there's a lot of things that people can say about people on the internet, and if you go around stirring up drama on the internet, then you shouldn't be surprised when people make up stuff about you and put it on the internet. I mean, if that's what's happened here.
Well, all right, guys. If you guys are going to take that attitude, why don't I just start making up stuff about you guys?
You wouldn't be the first person to do that, Nick. I mean, I've had people posting flyers around Keene, New Hampshire, making all kinds of allegations about me that are completely false. So
aren't you a pedo? Are you a pedo,
nope,
Ian?
Definitely not. But I'm not. But that's what the flyers say. So
you don't like it. You don't like it, dude. So I don't know why you guys can't just grant him this one thing. He's not asking for the board to come down. I know he asked that.
That's precisely what he said. The way he phrased it, he suggested the whole BBS comes down.
I may not like it, but it's something that's just part and parcel with being a public personality. And Dave has made himself a public personality. He is insulting people on the internet on a regular basis, and he shouldn't be surprised when people want to strike back against him.
And something else to point out, this was not a thread started by any of the hosts on the show tonight. I don't think it was actually even started by a host of the show. So you're asking...
No, it was started by one of the Dave Grady follower guys.
You're asking the host of this show to take down content that we did not create.
Look, first off,
but it's associated with the show, and it's a false rape accusation.
Yeah, I'm for it from this standpoint. If you're talking about a rape accusation, the thing's so large and dangerous, I think that it probably should be pulled down. However,
I think you should ask the person that made the thread.
That won't happen. This is one of the people who's been following Dave around. Arch Stanton is one of the people who Dave has complained about for years.
I never said the guy would, wind up going through with the request. I'm just saying you should ask the person that created the thread, not somebody else that did not create the thread.
Just because, okay, if somebody makes an accusation and they don't have a news story to back that up, then it's just a wild accusation.
Right. Look, you got to, I mean, if you're an employer, you shouldn't just take some post on an internet forum seriously.
If you're an employer and you're looking at two equal employees, and one of them has some wild rape accusation on the internet and the other one doesn't, you are a fool to take the one that has the rape accusation.
If one of them is an internet troll and the other one is not, and you're hiring somebody for customer service, don't hire the internet troll because internet trolls tend to act that way in person as well.
This is 3 pages of stuff here. All I'm saying is if there's a rape accusation, then you can pull one, you can make invisible one post without too much trouble. You're probably sitting on it right now, Ian, and could hover over it and click it.
It also says that he masturbates to Z-Rock jingles.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's ridiculous.
He bought a toothbrush in 2003 and has since only used it 3 times.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
This is the same post with the
I get
rape
it. It sounds
accusation.
ridiculous.
So look, I'm just not.
But guys, what if a potential date for Dave decides to Google him and sees this? Like, this is going to hurt.
She's going to see a lot more than this one thread, okay? There are a lot of things out there about Dave Grady.
There's hundreds of YouTube videos that he has posted himself.
That's right.
Okay.
Guys,
he's
Dave
his own worst enemy, Nick, and you know that. You know he's his own worst enemy.
I do know that, yes.
Okay.
I know Dave very well.
Yes, I know you know, and that's why I was saying that. Thank you for the call tonight, Nick. I appreciate it. We'll think about it, but right now, our offer is we'll take it down if that's what the top donator to the Free Talk Live LRN.FM satellite fundraiser if that's what they want us to do. And our satellite fundraiser, you can go to fund.lrn.fm. That's fund.lrn.fm. It helps us stay on the air in North and Central America and Sub-Saharan Africa. So thank you for doing that.
Can you read that post?
The entire post?
Is it long?
Facts about Dave Grady.
It's fairly lengthy.
He has had only 3 friends his entire life. One is his therapist, one is his caseworker, and the other was Marty Robbins from the 3rd grade. He has 6 fingers on his right hand. Doctors believe his brain is no larger than a walnut. His main diet is Hot Pockets, Goobers, and Monster Energy drinks. He used to be known as Pleasant Valley Guy, but has since branched out to encompass the entire Hudson Valley. He has attended every Dutchess County fair since 1979. He raped a Poughkeepsie woman named Lisa, who has since put a bounty on his head. Looking at Hot Wheels toys makes him extremely horny. He hasn't had a girlfriend in over 6 years. His last girlfriend was just an internet date in an online chat room that lasted for 36 minutes. He masturbates to Z-Rock jingles. He bought a toothbrush in 2003 and has since only used it 3 times. His annual income from working is roughly $4,600 per year.
And there were air quotes around that working.
Yep. New York State taxpayers foot the bill of $20,000 per year for his housing and living expenses. Dave never buys toilet paper. How he cleans himself after defecating is a mystery.
Maybe he's got a removable shower head.
He enjoys warm blankets, cold drinks, and hot chicks. On his computer, he uses video footage of hot chicks from the Dutchess County Fair, as well as children and farm animals, unbeknownst to all of them. He did not kill that cat. George did. He wears sunglasses because he's cross-eyed. Dave has 32 teeth in his mouth. 6 of them are actually his own. He will not leave his house when an airplane is flying overhead due to those mysterious chemtrails. His sneakers and socks smell like a landfill and a sewage treatment plant, seaweed, and mustard. The King's Court apartment fire was indeed started by Dave. After being placed there, he didn't like it and wanted to move, so he lit a match and collected all his belongings and stored them in his car. When aroused, Dave's penis will grow to well over 2.5 inches. Dave writes in caps to avoid any unnecessary capitalization. One of his favorite things to do.
It is easier than figuring out punctuation.
This thing goes on for a while here, by the way, Mark.
That's fine.
The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can take control of the airwaves. And here's another question for you. What if the rape allegation is true?
It's just an allegation. If there's no facts presented, it's a wild and unfounded effort.
This is Free Talk Live.
People who can afford a LASIK procedure sure are lucky. Imagine being able to throw away your contacts and glasses. Imagine waking up tomorrow with 20/20 vision. Too bad everyone can't afford LASIK. Well, guess what? There's a company that agrees with you. TLC Laser Eye Centers is now offering great prices on high-quality LASIK to make it affordable for everyone. That means you get the latest FDA-approved all-laser LASIK technology for less than what others charge. And if you call right now, we'll schedule a free appointment so you can discover if LASIK is right for you. Results may vary. Call 1-800-930-9765. Even better, if you're one of the first 100 callers, ask about an extra $400 off your all-laser LASIK procedure. That's $200 off per eye. We've already performed over 2 million procedures. Let us help you. Discover how you can get the quality LASIK experience you deserve for less than what others charge. For your free appointment, call 1-800-930-9765. 1-800-930-9765.
Do you know that good digestion is your body's first line of defense? Millions of Americans suffer from poor digestion. It shows up in the form of heartburn, acid reflux, GERD, irritable bowel syndrome, indigestion, constipation, diarrhea, and many other symptoms. Healthy digestion relies on armies of friendly bacteria. These good bugs keep bad bugs in check. Probimune, a new, uniquely developed probiotic, is scientifically proven to get to your gut and deliver the benefits of improved digestion. Probimune is an immune system booster and a digestive health enhancer. It's simple to use, and most importantly, you will feel Probimune working, soothing, and relaxing the gut. Get yours today by visiting younghealth.com or call 800-396-9024. Again, that's 800-396-9024. Use coupon code DIGEST to receive 15% off your first order.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Juicy Juice, 100% juice, providing a full serving of fruit in every 4 ounces. Visit us at juicyjuice.com. When it comes to nutrition, kids need both fruits and vegetables every day to stay healthy and grow. For the ideal mix, your kid should have at least 1.5 cups of any veggie or 100% veggie juice, and 1 cup of any fruit or 100% fruit juice a day. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and we invite you here to join us on the radio waves. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype, and our Skype username is LRN.FM. We've been sort of all over the map here talking about everything from Dave Grady in Poughkeepsie, New York, and his dating profile to serious issue of voting. And Darryl, you've got 20 reasons why people shouldn't vote.
Yes.
And we're seeing if they're persuasive at all to the three of us who are all three voters. So we'll continue with that list. And don't forget to go over to freetalklive.com and enjoy all the features on our site. We appreciate your support, and one of the ways you can support us is by shopping with Free Talk Live. Just go to shop.freetalklive.com. You can enter Amazon there. Actually, Mark, you wanted to give us a game of the month as well, but go to shop.freetalklive.com. You want to buy some games? That's a great way to do it.
Yeah, if you go to game.freetalklive.com, you can, click on World of Warships. That's what I've been playing recently, and I'd like to see if we can get some listeners in. Now, we do get paid off this click, but I'm playing the game, and I'm doing it daily. I'd like to get a little contingent, flotilla, as it were, of Free Talk Live listeners. It's World of Warships. All you have to do is go to game.freetalklive.com. It does take a little while to download. There's no doubt about it.
Is this like a computer game or a phone game?
Computer game.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta play this on a computer. It's
got Windows only.
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
I would assume not.
All right.
I mean, surely they aren't going to knock out that large of a marketplace. So there's got to be an Apple version. Just guessing.
So Mark wants to play with you.
Yeah, game.freetalklive.com.
And what's your name on the game?
MEDGEFTL is always my name.
MEDGEFTL.
Yep, it says there. It's if you go to game.freetalklive.com, it will tell you that information.
All right, perfect. So let's continue on with the voting, shall we? Because we picked on Dave enough for now.
Certainly. Electoral, and this is number 2 on the list.
Yep.
Electoral promises are meaningless because politicians are able to lie to gain the favor of the electorate and then do exactly what they want once they have it.
I agree.
Then there is no accountability or recourse other than waiting another 4 years or 2. They seem to forget that some offices are up every 2 years. But non-voters generally couldn't tell you how often elections are.
No. Non-voters are all about the presidential election. They want to make a big deal about that because what they'll say is that your vote is mathematically insignificant. And that's true on any statewide election. And a presidential election is only statewide, except in Nebraska and Maine, where there's actually some districts included. But since it's for electoral votes, it's only statewide. There's really only like 10 counties in the United States that actually make the real swing votes. But regardless of that, about 2 million people really make the decision. They always want to focus on the presidential election because the presidential election is the mathematically most insignificant for your vote. Now, on local elections, I can tell you 2 times in my life, my vote has, or the lack thereof, has made a difference in spending in my town. In one case, buying a truck, in another, well, it was trucks both times, different types of trucks. And
were they big trucks?
Yeah, big trucks.
Would Dave Grady like these trucks?
I don't know. About $150,000 for these trucks. So there you go. I mean, you can make a difference on a local level.
So they say there's no accountability or recourse other than waiting another 4 years, so to vote them out and replace them with someone else who will follow the established template and do the exact same thing.
Oh, all politicians are exactly the same. I don't agree that all politicians are exactly the same. Yes, I do think that politicians tend to be people that seek power or people that are easily corrupted, but that doesn't mean they're all the same.
The act of voting grants legitimacy to the idea that it's acceptable for the majority or the collective to use the coercive arm of the state to impose their will on the minority or the threat of force, and for that reason it is immoral to vote.
Okay, hold on. Now, this is my favorite. The idea that it's immoral to vote because you force people to do things. Now, force is not anti-libertarian. Aggression is anti-libertarian. Violence is anti-libertarian. But if I force you to leave me alone, that is not anti-libertarian. Not voting is a pacifist stance. What do they call that? Extreme pacifist stance. An absolute, that's the term. Absolute pacifist stance, not a libertarian stance. If you're an absolute pacifist, you need to consider what all your actions do and how they affect people in all kinds of ways.
Can't walk on a sidewalk because that was paid for with tax dollars. So walking on the sidewalk condones the existence of everything.
Yeah, buying gasoline for your car gives money to the federal government who wages war in foreign countries. Can't use gas.
So the anti-voters really just seem to be looking for reasons to do nothing. I mean, do they do anything besides post on the internet? It's what I'd like to know. I mean, if they're actually out doing activism or something, then I'd have some more respect for it. But it just seems like they don't do anything. Yeah.
That they continue on number 3 here. The only way to truly delegitimize the system is by not voting. When the people refuse to participate in droves, the international community can no longer recognize the results of the election as legitimate.
That is absolute ridiculousness.
This perceived legitimacy is such a concern for politicians that in some countries it's now a legal requirement to vote.
Yes, of course it in some countries, because they believe that the vote's important, the will of the people is important. That's why they do it. However, most local elections, you'll find fewer than 10% of the registered voters, which is likely half of the population. So less than 5% of the people vote in local elections.
Right.
Do you see local governments drying up and blowing away? Is the federal government stopping local municipalities from existing because they're no longer legitimate? That is absolute poppycock, and whoever wrote it ought to be ashamed.
We've actually covered elections where nobody voted.
Not even the
Zero
candidate.
ballots were cast, and yet the people still got elected because there are procedures to break a tie, and when everybody gets 0 votes, that's a tie.
Somebody will get appointed or whatever.
There'll be an appointment or somebody just continues on with their office.
And I've said this for years. They claim that this is the only way to stop things. We need to, en masse, people need to stop voting. Well, first of all, we've already pointed out that doesn't work because the government continues to perpetuate itself. But if you really want to stick it to the state, then stop obeying it and stop paying it, because that's what they thrive on. They don't care if you show up and vote. That's just a little game that they put out there for you to play to make you think that you actually have some influence over the way things go. The national level, you have no influence whatsoever. At the local level, you can actually swing things one way or another, and there's actually, I think it's worth it to vote, at least here in New Hampshire on the local level. But
Number 4, they say a non-voter emerges from the electoral process with a clean conscience because they can legitimately proclaim that what the elected representatives subsequently say and do after they have gained power is not done in their name, not with their permission, and not with their encouragement.
I kind of agree with that one.
I can say the same thing because I didn't vote for any of the a-holes that are in the New Hampshire legislature or in the, I did vote for 2 of the guys in the Keene City Council.
Yeah, I mean, am I, okay, most of the people I vote for do not get elected, but that's what the arbiter here is if you're responsible for all the actions of a politician. I think it's important to note that since we have the first past the post system in the United States, that your vote only matters if the politician won by 1 vote. So if the politician wins by 2 votes, you can say, well, if I withdrew my vote, they still would have won. They still would have done the same thing that they did. So I'm not sure that even passes muster. I can see why somebody feels responsible in rooting for some politician. They finally get in office, and then suddenly they do something that the person didn't wish. But ultimately, that's going to happen with any politician.
Right, but this also
any person.
It seems to ignore the fact that one can withdraw consent. So just because you consented to what somebody did yesterday does not mean that you consent or condone what they do today or tomorrow.
It's true.
So, number 5?
Number 5, to vote does not mean one relinquishes the right to then comment on, complain about, or protest the actions of the government. It's completely the other way around. When one votes, one effectively makes a contractual agreement, which hands over the right for someone to speak.
Where is my signature on this contract?
Yeah.
I have a contractual agreement with the government that if I vote to agree with who wins, that's ridiculous.
I thought libertarians didn't believe in the social contract. Who wrote this article?
It says that these reasons were written and compiled by Robert Rorschach.
Good for Robert Rorschach, which is likely a pseudonym. I think that this is important to point out is that, look, if you choose not to vote, that's fine, but you really shouldn't care of what the outcomes are. I mean, at that point, you've relinquished responsibility for the outcomes, haven't you?
Maybe we should talk about the remainder of these another time because we're out of time for tonight. But one more highlight from the OkCupid profile of Hudson Valley guy Dave Grady. How long can you go without sexual release? Options included less than a day, from a day to a week, more than a week, and I've never had sexual release. What's your guess?
I've never.
Yep, I've never had sexual release is what Dave Grady says.
No wonder he's so grumpy.
And he's in his 40s. We'll see you tomorrow night on... Wait, that means he's never played with himself?
That's
a
what
weird
that means.
thing. See you tomorrow, freetalklive.com.
Adam.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
Cop Block Radio is up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, July 27th, 2016. Silver is trading at $19.70 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,324 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $657. Antiwar.com reports following previous reports that they have credible evidence of Turkey torturing post-coup detainees. Amnesty International is doubling down on their concern, calling for an immediate halt to all mistreatment of what is now in excess of 10,000 people arrested over the coup attempt. The imposition of a state of emergency across Turkey has added to the concern, as it allows President Erdogan to extend the detention without charges period from 4 days to 30 days. This is greatly increasing the risk of those detainees being tortured. Turkish prisons have a spotty human rights record in the first place, and since the coup, a lot of the detainees aren't even being held in formal prisons, but rather in makeshift detention centers set up after the failed coup, with images repeatedly showing large numbers of bound men sitting on the floor of a single room surrounded by guards. Lawyers have reported seeing detainees brought in to be interrogated by prosecutors already covered in blood, with reports that a number of detainees have been raped in custody as part of the increasingly violent effort to get people to talk. If you're fed up with the government running every aspect of your life, but you're not listening to the Lava Flow podcast yet, what's wrong with you? Go right now to thelavaflow.com/listen. The Lava Flow podcast, channeling the flow of information to the libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, voluntarist, and agorist community. Subscribe today using any podcatcher at thelavaflow.com/listen, or just go back to sucking up to the government. The Lava Flow podcast, striking the root every episode. UPI reports after running through all 57 voting states and territories, Senator Bernie Sanders stepped forward Tuesday to motion that Democrats set aside their delegate counts and move past a divisive primary campaign, nominating by acclamation Hillary Clinton as the party's candidate for the President of the United States. The DNC roll call vote Tuesday was unusual in its choreography, where normally the winning candidate seeks a strategic, symbolic, or personally meaningful delegation to put them over the top, and other delegations accede to the nominee's wishes. Clinton received the 2,382 votes needed as determined simply by alphabetic order when South Dakota's delegation took its turn. Vermont, Sanders' home state, allowed itself to be skipped in order to vote last. After all the delegates cast their votes, 2,838 for Clinton, 1,843 for Sanders, and 55 abstentions, Sanders motioned to the chair to set aside the delegate totals and enable Clinton to be named the party's nominee by acclamation, the parliamentary equivalent of unanimous consent. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports the U.S. Food and Drug Administration opened the door on Tuesday to a change in its blood donor deferral recommendations, which currently prohibit donations from gay men for a year following their last sexual encounter in order to reduce the risk of transmitting HIV, the virus that causes AIDS. In December, the FDA overturned a 30-year ban on all blood donations from men who have had sex with other men, saying the change was based on science showing an indefinite ban was not necessary to prevent the transmission of HIV. The FDA is now signaling it may go further. Gay rights advocates say the latest update did not go far enough and that the agency's recommendations should move closer to individual risk assessment, which could, for example, look at whether an individual has been in a monogamous relationship. Their criticism intensified in the wake of a mass shooting at a gay nightclub in Orlando, Florida in June, which saw many gay men unable to donate blood even as blood banks put out calls for donors. In a notice posted to the Federal Register, the FDA said it was enabling a public docket for comment about its current recommendations and that interested people should submit comments backed by scientific evidence supporting alternative potential policies to reduce the risk of HIV transmission. Such suggestions could include the feasibility of moving from the existing one-time based deferrals related to risk behavior to alternative deferral options, such as the use of individual risk assessments. The agency said it would take the comments into account as it continues to reevaluate and update blood donor deferral policies as new scientific information becomes available. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
A new teen trend of walking wet and nude couldn't have caught on at a worse time, and a taxpayer is outraged. And lo, the Lord said unto the Israelites, look unto the heavens, and you shall see a news review program to rival the greatest wonders of the earth. This is the Onion Week in Review. As a front of dense, frigid air and snow showers brought sub-zero temperatures to much of the country this week, Canton, Ohio residents noted that the blanketing of snow they had received created the illusion that their town was not a total shithole. Residents added that unlike its typical depressing reality, the snow-cloaked town actually looked halfway livable.
Canton is usually a miserable little dump, but you know when that first snow fell and covered everything in a layer of white powder? For about 5 minutes it was like not everything I saw depressed the living out of me.
Reports from locals also confirmed that for a brief period the streets, parks, and buildings around them gave the surprising impression